Hello, do you like watching Naruto? And would you like to know who you would be if you got into anime? Then right now subscribe to the channel, like this video, and the last number of your like will indicate who you would be if you got into anime. For example, I would become Itachi, and you? Write in comments.
Description: an alternative universe where Naruto is not the son of Minato and Kushina, but Orochimaru. He is not a Jinchuriki and not a blonde with heavenly eyes. Almost a copy of Sannin, including purple eyes. Everyone hates him because he is the son of Orochimaru. Part 1, a boy of about 6 years old, with black hair and pale skin, was sitting and reading another book about the art of shinobi. A knock on the door interrupted his work, and he, raising his snake eyes, with purple markings around, went to open the door. "Hello, Naruto." It was already a gray-haired old man with a pipe in his teeth. The old man was dressed in a long white robe, and on his head was a red hat, with curtains at the back. It was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the greatest shinobi of his time. He was called a professor for his knowledge of a huge number of techniques, but now he was an ordinary good-natured old man who came to visit his student's son. "Hokage-sama?" Naruto asked inquiringly, looking at the old man. "I haven't been Hokage for a long time, stop calling me that." Hiruzen said unhappily. "Excuse me, is there something you wanted?" Naruto asked as he let the old man in. "Is he just visiting you or was he waiting for someone else?" "No, Sarutobi-sama. Enough already, let's get on with it." Okay, what did you come in for?" "Well, that's another matter. I just decided to visit you." Glancing at the table, on which were various books about shinobi. Taking a closer look, Sarutobi realized that they were books that described in detail the chakra, its properties, up to its control. "Still want to be a shinobi?" Taking one book in his hands, the old man read its title. Raiten Techniques. "Yes, but you can't go far with books," Naruto said in annoyance as he sat down on a chair. "Then, would you like to be my apprentice? I am already old, especially on a well-deserved rest. I have a lot of free time, so I can teach you." "You're not kidding?" Hiruzen just looked at him seriously. "So what? Of course, I agree," the brunette shouted, jumping up and down with joy. "That's good. Then tomorrow at 51 training grounds at 9 a.m, don't be late," Hiruzen said, getting up from his chair and heading towards the exit. The brunette only nodded, already in his thoughts. "Damn, I'll have to go to the store, otherwise I'll die of hunger," Naruto thought, opening his refrigerator and taking his wallet. He left his apartment. It was already evening outside, and there were a lot of people on the streets of Konoha, especially since today is some kind of holiday that Naruto preferred not to know about. "I hope everything goes well this time," Naruto thought as he turned onto the village's main street. Konoha was a really beautiful place, especially in the evening. The lanterns and moonlight gave this village some of its own mysterious charm. A push in the back quickly brought the guy out of his thoughts. Barely falling, Naruto turned around and looked at the one who pushed him. It was a tipsy Chunin, next to which were two Jonin, but they hardly wanted to help Naruto. "What are you doing here, you lousy snake? What are you talking about?" Naruto asked in genuine surprise. It wasn't the first time he'd been called a snake, but Naruto didn't know why. Maybe because of the snake eyes, but then why do so many people hate him? "Why do you all treat me like that? Why did I do this to you?" Naruto asked with tears in his eyes. "Oh, so you don't know?" Naruto pricked up his ears, tears would not stop flowing down his cheeks, falling and crashing on the ground. "Do you know who your daddy is, and the serpent?" "No, I have lived in an orphanage since childhood. Your father, a terrible man, became an apostate because he performed inhuman experiments on humans. Killed them, mocked them, he's a terrible person, you know? His name is Orochimaru and someone like him cannot have a normal child, that's why they hate you. To be honest, I would kill you completely, you know, just in case, but only you are under the protection of the third Hokage, and no one would like to have problems with him, that's why you are still alive." After these words, Naruto received a sharp and strong knee to the stomach, tears poured from his eyes, and the guy himself bent in half and fell to the ground. "However, no one will forbid us to beat you." A kick in the ribs from the foot again brought the boy back to reality, and he, sobbing and writhing in pain, tried to get up and run away, but he did not succeed. "Sooner or later, you will die anyway, and it warms my soul." Leaning to the guy's ear, the Chunin said. "It's time to finish," said the Jonin with black hair and went up to the guy lying on the ground, kicked him in the stomach with all his might. He beat without regret and more than once. Naruto no longer cried and did nothing. He just lay and looked somewhere into the void, thinking about why he was all this. After a strong blow to the head, the brunette's consciousness became confused and later completely left him. With difficulty opening his eyes, which were stuck together due to dirt and dried blood, Naruto looked around. He was lying in one of the lanes, it was still dark outside. Leaning heavily against a concrete wall, Naruto sat up. Tears flowed from his eyes, probably from resentment, because he was not to blame for anything, especially for the sins of his father, whom he had never even seen. No, he certainly heard about the legendary Sannin Orochimaru and even read several articles about him, but he could not think that he was his son. After sitting in this doorway for a couple more hours, Naruto finally came to his senses and was even able to get up. Waddling, he still managed to reach the training ground, which, fortunately for him, was not so far from the guy. The clock was somewhere around 6 in the morning, which means that the brunette had 3 more hours to sleep and rest, and then he lay down under one of the trees and closed his eyes, fell into a dream. Naruto? Naruto, are you okay? Hiruzen asked, shaking the guy. Ah, old man, it's you. Naruto opened his eyes and smiled wryly. What happened to you? The third asked anxiously, looking at the boy again. There was no living place on his face, his clothes were all dirty and dusty. Dried blood was everywhere, and the face was covered in abrasions and bruises. Yes, as usual. This was not the first time, but so much old man, you better answer me, you know who my father is? Hiruzen was in no hurry to answer, weighing all the pros and cons, but in the end, after a couple minutes, he gave his answer. Yes, who is he and who was he? Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin and my apprentice. Now he is a renegade, probably because of his actions in the past. You are hated now, forgive me Naruto. It's not your fault, what was he like? He just went astray, otherwise he is a good person. Orochimaru was truly a genius, I would even say that he is more brilliant than Minato Namikaze, but here everyone has their own opinion. Why didn't you tell me before? Maybe. I didn't want you to know that you are the son of an apostate, a traitor, call it what you will. Okay, enough of the sad stuff, are you ready for the workout? Hiruzen asked and smiled. Yes, but You don't have to worry about this, I found a doctor for you who will put you on your feet in a matter of seconds. Sensei, why did you call me? The busty young blonde asked. Could you heal Naruto's wounds? He was beaten again, but today it is much stronger than usual, I can't help him here. Hiruzen said with a longing, lighting a cigarette. Oh sure. The woman's hands glowed green. Medical technicians? Yes, and at this level, amazing. Naruto said as he watched his wounds disappear in just a few moments. You speak as if you understand something about this, the Sannin snorted, continuing to do her job. But I really understand this, although not at the same level as you. Tsunade knew whose son it was, and therefore was not even particularly surprised that he was well versed in medicine. For his age, genes are a strong thing. Thank you, Tsuna-chan. Hiruzen said when the work was finished. Not for that, but why did you forget something here? The blonde asked as she stood up and turned to her sensei. I took Naruto as a student, now we will have training, and I think it will be quite successful. The old man answered while smoking. And it's interesting, what will come of it? Tsunade said thoughtfully, and then went about her business. Well, Naruto, shall we begin? Seeing the nod, the old man continued. Do you know what a chakra is? Another nod. Well then, you should know that each person has his own element, someone may have 2 of them, someone may have 1 of all. And how many elements do you have and which ones? Naruto asked and looked at his sensei with delight. I own all 5 elements, but now is not about that. To find out what element you have, you will have to pass through a special paper, your chakra, and there you will already see what and how. Hiruzen said and handed 2 sheets of paper to the guy. You don't have to look at me like that, I know perfectly well that you already know how to control your chakra, walk through trees and water. Naruto just smiled and took 2 sheets of paper in his hands and gave them chakra. 1 leaf was crumpled and the second was wet. Wow, you have 2 elements at once, lightning and water. Quite an interesting combination can come out. Hiruzen said and smiled. Where do we start? Naruto asked and looked at the old man who was stroking his beard thoughtfully. Well, should we start by studying the elements and their techniques, or do you have any other suggestions? There is not. Naruto said cheerfully. Commentary on what did I do to deserve all this? Till I die 6-0, I will become a shinobi. 1 year later, Suiton. Downdraft. Brighton. Annihilation lightning. The stream of water that escaped from Naruto's mouth rushed into the distance, and after a couple of seconds, lightning began to dance on it. The technique turned out to be strong and deadly, anyone, be it a shinobi or an ordinary person, falling under it would die. I didn't expect anything else from you, Naruto said the old man in whose hands was an old pipe. Old man. Hiruzen looked questioningly at his student, dragging on once again. I want to become a shinobi, well, go to the academy, pass the exam there and become a genin. But the school year has already begun, somehow you realized it too late. So what, I won't start studying from the very beginning, many people do that. Naruto replied even though he didn't really know if many people really did that. Okay, today is just a meeting, I'll ask the Hokage there, and if he allows it, then tomorrow you will go to the academy. Now go home, that's all for today. The old man said with a smile and patted the boy's hair. The brunette smiled radiantly and, immersed in his thoughts, wandered home. He looked so much like his father. The third thought, and after looking after the departing Naruto a little more, he went to the residence. Today, a large council of clans was to be held, at which the heads of all clans, elders and, of course, the Kage are present. The council was supposed to start any minute now, and therefore Hiruzen accelerated, and after a couple of minutes he entered the room in which the council was held. Hiruzen-sama, you have finally arrived. Then you can start, no one is against it? Standing up from his seat, asked a tall blonde with blue eyes. It was Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage and the fastest shinobi in the world. Subsequent discussions, Hiruzen listened with half an ear, because usually the same thing is said here. I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, but I have a request. Sarutobi said at the end of the meeting. Minato looked at him questioningly. You know Naruto? Minato nodded. Today he expressed a desire to become a shinobi. His potential is huge. For this year that I have been training him, he has already risen to the same level as Jonin. It will be useful to the village in the future. Hiruzen said with a touch of pride, after which silence fell. Everyone pondered the words of the former Hokage. But the silence was not destined to last for a long time, and after a few seconds, it was interrupted by Fugaku. He must not be allowed into the academy. We only let him live on the condition that he never become a shinobi. I am categorically against it. He will follow in the footsteps of his own father. With all due respect to you, Fugaku-sama, but you don't decide here, and I didn't ask you the question. I am also against it. It was generally impossible to leave him in our village, and you Hiruzen, you just became attached to him. Said Kaharu, the Hokage's advisor. Yes, I am also against it. He cannot become a shinobi, otherwise there may be irreparable consequences. Hamura said. Hiruzen only looked sadly at all those present, who completely agreed with those who had just spoken, and later turned his gaze to the Hokage, who apparently was interested in the opinion of his advisors and in general the whole situation. For your information, Naruto is not a shinobi of this village. He said the last word with disappointment. A simple civilian means that he can safely leave Konoha, and nothing will happen to him, and I will leave with him. Hiruzen said and looked at the current Hokage with a piercing look, who, after shifting slightly in his chair, finally gave his answer. If he is such a genius and, as you say, he has huge potential, then let him prove it. After the Hokage's words, everyone started whispering, but after hitting the table with his fist, everyone quickly fell silent. Well, how? Hiruzen asked in the established silence. Let him defeat the Genin team, it will be a 3v1 fight. If he wins, then I will enroll him in the academy. Okay, when and where? Tomorrow, at 10 a.m., at training ground number 40. Hiruzen nodded gratefully, got up from the table and walked out through the middle of the meeting, although it was not accepted, but no one dared to stop him. Well, I'll show you, Minato, thought Hiruzen and went to Naruto's house to tell him the good news. The meeting quickly ended after the departure of the third. Do you think it's worth it? Fugaku asked. Why not? I'm almost 100% sure that this guy will not follow in his father's footsteps. Hiruzen usually doesn't make mistakes. The blonde said with a smile and disappeared in a yellow flash, accompanied by thunder. Naruto lay on his bed and stared up at the ceiling. Over the past year, a lot of interesting things happened. He became much stronger, smarter. The bullying stopped after Naruto beat up a Chunin who decided to bully him. His thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door. Hello Naruto. Opening the door, Naruto saw Hiruzen, who looked a little angry and sad. Old man? Something happened? Tomorrow you will fight against a team of Genin. If you win, then you will be enrolled in the academy. If not, then you will not become a shinobi. Sarutobi said, looking down at the floor. But why? Is it necessary to enter the academy? Naruto asked in confusion. This is our only way out. The Hokage agreed to enroll you in the academy only on these terms. From the window of Naruto's apartment, it was clearly visible the mountain on which the faces of the previous Hokage were carved. This was the main attraction of Konoha. Hiruzen looked at the faces of the first and second Hokage. Thoughts immediately appeared in my head that the village had changed, and not for the better. Okay, since this is the only way out, then I have no choice. Naruto said smiling. Hiruzen already wanted to say something to him, but the brunette did not let him finish. I think that training with you will give its result. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. at training ground number 40. Charged with a positive mood from the brunette, Hiruzen said with a smile and patted the guy's hair and headed for the exit, lighting his pipe. Come get sick. Definitely the old man finally left the apartment and even the area where Naruto lived and quickly walked towards the Hokage's residence. Sign in. The tired voice of the young village ruler came from behind the door. The third Hokage walked inside and, as usual, nodded respectfully to Minato sitting in the chair. For some reason or just for the sake of it? The blonde asked, although he already guessed why the head of the Sarutobi clan had come. I came to talk about Naruto. I knew it flashed through the head of the fourth. Let's get straight to the point. Well, the old man agreed. Don't you think that this is a bad idea? He could get hurt badly. Well, you said that he is a genius, on an equal footing with his father. I think he can handle it. Especially since you were his teacher. Yes, but still, 1 against 3. Everything will be fine. I will follow the fight and stop it at the right moment. Minato promised and put the third one out the door, taking on the papers, of which there were already a lot. The beeping of the alarm clock woke the brunette, turned off the alarm by touch, and with difficulty opening his eyes stuck together, the guy took a sitting position. Damn, I'm going to be so late looking at the dial, Naruto thought. It was already around 8:20 in the morning, 40 minutes left before the fight. Naruto did not experience any jitters or anxiety, on the contrary, he was quite calm and quite confident in his victory. Nevertheless, after several years of training with one of the strongest shinobi, they could not go in vain. After a quick breakfast of instant noodles, Naruto jumped out into the street and rushed towards the 44 range. There were about 10 minutes left, and everyone had already gathered at the training ground, only one was missing, namely Naruto. Damn Minato, he chose the strongest genin team on purpose. What is Itachi alone worth, whom everyone considers a real genius? Hiruzen thought nervously looking at the team of 3. They were quite ordinary genin who had just recently passed their exams and graduated from the academy. A short and inconspicuous guy with gray hair, a girl with the same hair braided in a funny pigtail, a brunette with smooth long hair the color of a crow's wing. These were the members of Team 2, who was considered the best of the new graduates, and all, as already mentioned, because of the genius from the Uchiha clan, Itachi Uchiha. Standing in the clearing were Minato, Fugaku, and the team's Jonin mentor, as well as Tsunade Senju, who was invited just in case. Everyone was just waiting for Naruto, talking about their own. Itachi discussed strategy with the team, yet they decided to take this fight seriously. Fugaku and Minato were talking about their own, only occasionally touching on the topic of the upcoming fight. They thought they already knew the result of this fight. Hiruzen was sitting on pins and needles, yet he was worried about his student, who, by the way, had not yet appeared. Sorry I'm late, I overslept. The guy said with a smile, with long black hair, to the waist, dressed in a white long robe. I don't know what it's called, like Orochi in childhood, they suggested. Kimono. Pale, almost white skin, purple markings around the eyes, strongly conspicuous. Itachi thoughtfully looked at the boy, apparently appreciating him. Well, now that we're all here, we can get started. Minato said with a kind smile on his face. Well, it's finally started, the blonde man said, who until that moment had been shackled in the shade of a tree. I'm already tired of waiting, yet it's not every time you can see Uchiha Itachi fight. Naruto heard a note of envy in his voice, which amused him a little. Calm down, Menma. Minato said with a stern look at the boy. Naruto noticed 3 stripes on each cheek, similar to the mustache of a wild animal. Menma was the son of the 4th Hokage, the eldest to be precise. I think you know the rules, but just in case, I will repeat. Minato looked at the 4 shinobi carefully. His gaze lingered slightly on Itachi and on Naruto, who had expressions of absolute calmness, which interested the 4th. Killing and inflicting mortal wounds is prohibited. Techniques can be used, but again, not deadly. You are ready? The 2 sides just nodded silently. Then let's get started. Naruto glanced at the old man, who was visibly nervous and smiled slightly at the corners of his lips. Fugaku, on the other hand, was closely watching his son, who was not in vain considered a genius because he was already at the level of a strong Chunin, and this fight should have ended quickly, the key word should. After Minato gave the go-ahead and started the duel, no one moved, as if they were waiting for something. To hell with it. Tenma yelled and grabbed a kunai and ran towards Naruto. The brunette was not going to underestimate his opponents, and therefore he took this fight seriously. Putting 2 fingers together in a cross, an exact copy of him appeared next to Naruto. Shadow clone technique? Fugaku asked, who had been watching the fight closely. There was surprise in Itachi's eyes, apparently he knew about this technique. Okay, the real fight will be against the Uchiha. These 2 are just a warm-up, Naruto thought, and simultaneously with the clone, they began to fold the same seals. Suiton? Raging wave technique. Naruto and his clone blew a strong stream of water that easily knocked the attacker down and knocked him into a nearby tree. The guy lost consciousness, and Naruto's clone vanished into white smoke. Watch out! Itachi yelled, noticing some movement in the smoke. Jumping slightly to the side, Itachi landed safely and looked in the direction where Inari was. Brighton. Storm Dragon. An impressive dragon flew out of the smoke, which rushed at the girl. Inari could not move. It would seem that her whole life flashes before her eyes. She already thought that she was over. Kato. A large fireball. Quickly folding the seals, Itachi shouted and exhaled a large ball of fire that tried to interfere with the Raiten technique, but nothing happened. Another opponent was taken out of the game, and Naruto was left with the toughest one. Minato and Fugaku were greatly surprised by what they saw. For a kid to use two high-level techniques so competently, that's not the limit, is it? Asked Tsunade, who was sitting next to her sensei. Even I still don't know the extent of his powers. Hiruzen replied thoughtfully and continued to watch the duel. I think he's weak in Taijutsu, at least we'll give it a try, Naruto thought, and pulling out the katana that was resting on his belt, he quickly began to close the distance from Itachi. Kato. Phoenix flowers. A large number of balls of fire rushed straight at the brunette, who smoothly moved away from each of them, getting closer and closer. Damn, I'll have to engage in close combat, I'll break the distance later, Itachi thought, and with a deft movement took out a kunai, with which he immediately blocked the slashing blow of the katana. Damn, the brunette's weapon glowed blue, and a little later it sparkled, which meant only one thing. Naruto channeled chakra through the katana. Itachi quickly jumped back, breaking the distance. I see you have become serious. Naruto said, looking into blood-red eyes, in which two kamas, called Tamo, were spinning. Itachi silently began to fold the seals. Kato. A large fireball. The technique flew straight at Naruto, who quickly folded the Suiton seals and created a wall of water that neutralized the Uchiha's technique. In the clearing, as a result of the collision of two technicians, steam appeared. Only instinct helped Naruto dodge the kunai from behind. It was Itachi, who, thanks to his Sharingan, perfectly saw through the fog. Itachi moved closer to Naruto, who was looking around for the Uchiha, but stopped abruptly as he felt the cold steel on his neck. Its end. Naruto said as he appeared behind Itachi and held a katana to his throat. And the shadow clone disappeared with a bang. You tricked me into knowing that my Sharingan would not be able to distinguish a clone in such a dense fog. Your plan was perfect and certainly deserves respect, but Naruto looked back in shock. But I can do that too. Itachi whispered in his ear, placing a kunai against Naruto's throat. The one in front of the pale-skinned brunette vanished in a puff of smoke. Itachi tried to take a step towards Naruto, but something poked into his vest, something sharp. As it turned out, it was the kunai that Naruto kept in his left hand just in case. The weapon rested directly on the Uchiha's chest, in the area of U200B U200 the heart. Futon. Impulse. After folding the seals, Fugaku said, in whose eyes was the Manjikyu Sharingan, and on his face there was a strong surprise. Minato asked himself when he saw the whole situation in which the two shinobi were now. Hiruzen only smiled contentedly, yet the training was not in vain. Fugaku was shocked that someone could not only fight on equal footing against his son for a long time, but also win in the end. Does it mean a draw? Naruto asked, gently turning his head back. Ah, yes. Itachi lifted his gaze from the kunai and looked at his opponent. It was a good fight. Putting the kunai in the pouch and the katana in the sheath, said Naruto. But my time is infinity. Among cracked faces, I see how cruel people are, and only time will judge them. It was a good fight. Putting the kunai in the pouch and the katana in the sheath, said Naruto. Itachi nodded in agreement, still wandering somewhere in his thoughts. It was an amazing fight. Said Menma, who quickly recovered from his shock and decided to come up and speak his mind. I didn't think that someone could defeat Itachi, and you are not as bad as I thought. Thank you. Naruto replied shortly, who was not particularly drawn to a conversation with the Kage's son. Naruto, by virtue of his genes, probably craved more knowledge about the techniques, how they are performed and what feelings they experience, which is why he turned to Itachi. Listen, can you tell me more about the fire element techniques? Seeing the smiling brunette, the Uchiha himself involuntarily smiled, which did not happen so often. Of course, but what would you like to know, and most importantly why? This question tormented Itachi, even though he already knew why. I don't know why, but I always want to learn something new, whether it's techniques, fighting style, or even theory. Naruto's words only confirmed Itachi's suspicions. Okay, but I don't think this is the best place. The Uchiha said with a good-natured smile and extended his hand. I know it's late, but still, my name is Itachi Uchiha. Nice to meet you, I'm Naruto. Itachi went ahead and the brunette followed him, leaving Menma alone. The son of the Hokage had a double feeling. On the one hand, he was bursting with anger because he, the son of the fourth Hokage, was simply abandoned without paying proper attention. On the other hand, he was glad that someone was able to defeat Itachi because it meant that he also had a chance. Hiruzen, the old man, just turned towards the speaker with a satisfied smile. The boy really turned out to be a genius, as you said. I didn't think Itachi would win. Minato answered honestly, rubbing the back of his head. The old man smiled contentedly. He was glad that Naruto was able to emerge victorious. But you're sure he won't follow in his father's footsteps? This is a huge risk. Minato said seriously. Silence fell for a few seconds as the two men looked into each other's eyes, trying to find an answer there. Hiruzen began exhaling smoke. Even so, I will always support him. However, I don't think Naruto will be able to betray Konoha. If he even thinks to do it, I will kill him," said Fugaku, who was standing next to Minato. Hiruzen just nodded because he didn't want to argue with such a stubborn person as the head of the Uchiha clan. You still can't prove anything to him. Okay, Naruto was able to win, which means I'll enroll him in the academy. I think you're happy with that? Namek is asked with a smile, to which the old man only nodded, inhaling once again. Minato was about to teleport using Thunder God Flight, a technique that made him known to the world as the fastest shinobi. Wait, why would he go to the academy at all? Maybe he should pass the exam right away. I don't think he will have any difficulties with this. The Hokage suggested, looking over his left shoulder. I also think that it makes no sense for him to go to the academy, said Tsunade, who was sitting next to Saratobi. It's up to him to decide. I'll ask him. If he agrees, then I'll definitely tell you. After the words of Hiruzen, a thunderclap and a yellow flash were heard, the calling card of the fourth Hokage. Along with Minato, Menmo also disappeared, leaving only a few people in the clearing. Naruto returned home in the late afternoon, slowly opening the creaking door and taking a deep breath of fresh street air for the last time. He went inside. The light was on in his kitchen. He could not turn it off, which means he had guests. It's strange, I thought that all the shinobi of this village already understood that it's better not to joke with me, yet the third one is looking after me, Naruto thought warily. Taking out a kunai from his pouch, he slowly, trying not to make noise, looked into the kitchen, where he saw Hiruzen, calmly, even somehow at home drinking tea. Oh, hi Naruto. The keen eye of the old man, filled with countless battles, noticed a weapon in the hands of the brunette. Is it you, old man? You wanted something, or so, to see you. Putting the cold steel back in, Naruto said with a stupid smile. I'm talking about the academy, Minato, like the others who watched your duel today, they offered me something. Taking out his old, already rather shabby over the years, pipe, said Saratobi. Taking a drag, he continued. They offered you to take the exam ahead of schedule, so I came to get your opinion. I wish I could say yes, but I don't think I'm ready right now. During the time that I spend at the academy, I will be able to learn a lot of new things. Working both there and outside of class. The guy reasoned sensibly, looking at his sensei. Alright, then I'll go, I'll have to drop by Minato's again. Hiruzen said, getting up from his chair and heading towards the exit. Passing by the brunette, the old man ruffled his smooth and long hair, looking at him with pride. See you. Saratobi said as he closed the door and stepped out into the street. I almost forgot, class tomorrow at 8 a.m. Sticking his head back into the apartment said the third. Good. Hey, today is definitely the best day, Naruto thought, and with a blissful smile lay down on the bed and fell asleep without even undressing. Itachi, after a walk, returned home in high spirits. It is not surprising, today he found a friend. Although he did not know about it yet, but soon he and Naruto will become best friends, their fame will spread all over the world, and every shinobi will know their names, but more on that later. Nai-san, you've returned. Sasuke, Itachi's younger brother, called out when he saw him at the door. Hi Sasuke. Pointing two fingers at his brother's forehead, he answered. The elder Uchiha himself did not know why he constantly uses this gesture, but he could not unlearn it, he really liked it. And where have you been? The younger brother didn't hesitate. I was walking with Naruto. Itachi walked into the kitchen. Mikoto, Itachi's mother, and Fugaku, father and head of the Uchiha clan, were already sitting in the kitchen. The ringing of the alarm clock woke the guy. It meant only one thing, it's time to go to the academy. I wonder what my first day at the academy will be like, will I be accepted or not? The guy thought, on the way to the academy. Going inside a large and spacious building, Naruto quickly orientated himself in it and found his office and knocked. Hi, I'm Naruto. Going inside, with a smile on his face, said the brunette. All attention was immediately riveted on the new arrival, since none of them knew that they would have a new one. Due to the fact that many children knew who Naruto's father was, they immediately looked at him with disdain. Their parents often told them to avoid the brunette for obvious reasons. Well, it's not as simple as I thought, Naruto thought, and after the teacher introduced him, he trudged to an empty seat. It was the back desk near the window, where a beautiful girl was sitting. Blonde hair that was gathered in a ponytail, neat features and, of course, a pretty face. She turned her attention to the guy sitting next to her, after which an unprecedented interest flared up in her eyes. My name is Arya Senju. Turning half a turn to the guy, the girl said. Sunadeheim's daughter? The boy looked at her and the girl just nodded. I heard a lot about you from my mother. And what? The guy asked with interest, ceasing to listen to the teacher. Well, I heard a lot about your father, about how hard you try, and of course about the attitude of the whole village towards you. The girl briefly explained. Well, it's nice to meet you. Commentary on new acquaintances. Jesus, fuck it. I want to love this life. He is. Don't forget anything, look at nothing, and let me go to burn longer. Naruto, as usual, sat and carelessly looked out the window, behind which the rain was raging in full. It was autumn outside the window. Even through the closed window, one could easily smell the rain, XS, like you, but I can often smell the rain. Prompted, ozone. Many people were in a hurry to hide from bad weather, running into shops, or simply under awnings. Hey Naruto, I heard that you still decided to take the exam for Genin, and a week later for Chunin. Why am I only finding out about this now? Aya asked, slightly wet, approaching the guy's desk with a menacing look. Aya, are you? More affirmative than questioning, said the brunette. I ask you a question. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Everything happened very spontaneously. Said the guy, turning towards the window. Well, you're a fool. Sitting next to him, she said. Itself such. Naruto answered shortly, for which he immediately received from the elbow to the side. It hurts like that. Rubbing the place of impact, the brunette responded. I see you still haven't changed your preferences in clothes. For no apparent reason, the girl suddenly noticed Naruto was even somehow confused by such a statement. In fact, the guy really liked this white kimono with purple overlays, with yellow tomo embroidered on them. In such clothes, he looked even more like his father. It's been 2 years since you started studying at the academy, but the attitude toward you has not changed. Aya said sadly as she noticed another look of contempt directed at Naruto. Mikami Naruto. One of the academy Chunin said as he entered the classroom. Naruto stood up and smiled at his girlfriend, went towards the exit, because it's time to take the exam. Over the past 2 years, Naruto has changed a lot and not so much on the outside as on the inside. He became more cold and reasonable, albeit with close people, still the same cheerful guy. Naruto has grown slightly, but not as noticeable, his hair has become longer, and the purple rims around his eyes have become more vibrant. What is he pretending to be? He's a loser, he'll never pass the Genin exam. Whispering was heard from the rows, which was understandable. Naruto in these 2 years has not shown even a quarter of what he is capable of, and therefore he was known in the class as a fool who pretends to be cool. For the most part, there were clan children in the brunette's class, for example, from the Uchiha clan or the same Hyuga. However, Naruto no longer heard their conversations because he left the classroom and followed the teacher along the corridor. Over the past 2 years, Naruto has found a lot of information about his father, in particular, about which clan he belongs to. The Mikami clan was once quite numerous, but during the Second Shinobi War, it will cease to exist, all due to betrayal by the Inuzuka clan, which was allied at that time, but more on that later. Your exam will be one of the examiners, namely Iruka Yumino, started rummaging through the pile of papers, trying to find the ticket he had prepared beforehand, but foolishly put it in the pile with other papers. Found it, you will need to create 2 clones and use henge after which you will be considered a genin. Okay, can I start? The other 2 examiners just nodded. Naruto folded 2 fingers crosswise, after which 2 exact copies of the brunette appeared from the white smoke. Okay, now henge. The guy again folded his fingers into a seal, but already into another, and a second later Saratobi Hiruzen appeared in front of the 3 Chunin, with a pipe in his mouth. Great, honestly, I thought you'd fail. Iruka said while handing over the leaf emblem armband. Glad I didn't live up to your expectations. Taking the bandage in his hands and examining the Konoha symbol on it, through Naruto. You need to go to the Hokage, there you will find out what's next. Iruka said as Naruto left the class where the genin exam was. So, well, since I got the bandage, then I can go to the Hokage, the guy thought as he left the academy. It was no longer raining on the street, the only thing that reminded me of the recently raging elements was puddles on the road and wet trees, from which drops were still falling, breaking on the ground. Naruto slowly wandered towards the Hokage's residence, where they were already waiting for him. As long as there are people dear to me here, I will not leave this village, no matter how much I want to, but I can't, Naruto thought, once again fixing his gaze on the leaf emblem, on his bandage. Sign in. Knocking, heard Naruto. Hokage-sama, I was sent to you after the exam. Naruto replied as he entered the room. And it's you, judging by the bandage that sticks out of your pocket, you passed the exam. The 4th remarked, to which Naruto just nodded. You want to take the Chunin exams, am I right? Yes. Minato looked seriously at the brunette, as if weighing all the pros and cons, but in the end, shaking his head, he began to speak. It can be dangerous and you can die, are you aware of all the risks? Naruto nodded again. Alright, but in the Chunin exams, you need to participate in the team. What are you getting at, Mr. Hokage? The brunette asked calmly. You will take the exam with Itachi, you will be a team of 2. I think it will certainly not be difficult for you to pass it. I will give you further information a little later, Minato said and smiled kindly. Thank you. Bowing, Naruto left the residence and couldn't help smiling. Naruto? Going out into the street, he heard a brunette. Turning around, he saw an Uchiha, friendship with which, over time, has only become stronger. Long time no see. Naruto said and smiled as he pointed to his bandage. Yes, I just came to congratulate you on this, well, they call me to the Hokage. When you're done, come to my favorite place. Naruto smiled, after which they parted ways with Itachi to go about their business. Meanwhile, a man with long white hair was approaching the village with a huge scroll behind his back. Walking along the still wet streets of Konoha, the man enjoyed the view of the village, which would soon be drowned in the rays of the setting sun. I haven't been here for a long time, his mind flashed before he noticed a very familiar silhouette. His eyes immediately whitened, and he ran headlong, as he thought, to an old friend. Orochimaru, why do you look like a child? The man asked as he ran. And? Naruto asked in confusion and looked at the white-haired man more closely. You didn't recognize me? It's me, Jiraiya. It turned out that it was one of the 3 legendary Sannin who leave the village very often. Jiraiya-sama, you're wrong, I'm not Orochimaru. My name is Naruto Mikami, but you are not far from the truth. Naruto smiled and looked off into the distance. In what sense? I am the son of Orochimaru, your old friend and comrade. Of course, Jiraiya had heard that Orochimaru had a son, but he had never seen him or had any interest in him. But now, something has changed. Jiraiya was eager to learn more about Naruto. He himself did not understand why, probably wanted to make sure that the brunette did not follow in the footsteps of his father, or maybe because of something else. Are you talking Naruto? Well, let's go for a walk, tell us about yourself, and I'll tell you stories. Sannin said smiling kindly. Naruto did not refuse the invitation to take a walk, especially when the legendary Toad Sannin Jiraiya himself calls you for a walk. How are you doing in the village? Jiraiya asked gently. Jiraiya-san, if you're going to find out if I'm going to fall into the same trap as my father, then I'll answer right away. No. I am not going to leave Konoha as long as people dear to me live here, as soon as they are gone for some reason, then I will leave. Naruto replied honestly, catching another look of contempt that Jiraiya had noticed as well. After walking around for about an hour, Jiraiya and Naruto parted ways. Sannin had to drop by the Hokage and his sensei, and Naruto had to meet Itachi. Say hello to the third old man. Naruto said with a smile, after which he went towards the Hokage rock, which had a gorgeous view of Konoha, especially when the sun goes down. Of course. Jiraiya said cheerfully and headed towards the residence. All his thoughts were occupied by this boy, who seemed to him a rather interesting person. The Sannin even thought of taking him as his student. Jiraiya-san, you've arrived. Hearing a voice from behind, Jiraiya pushed his thoughts aside and turned around. Behind him stood Kushina, a tall, beautiful and slender girl with red hair, the hallmark of the Uzumaki clan, and next to her was her daughter. Her name was Haru. Kushina, hi. The girl was a complete copy of her mother, except perhaps for the color of her eyes. Jiraiya, have you returned to the village? Haru immediately ran to hug her godfather, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Yes, but I won't be long, so see you. Jiraiya said as he picked up his niece. Listen, Kushina, I wanted to ask here. The Hokage's wife looked questioningly at Sannin. What do you know about Naruto Mikami? Only that he's Orochimaru's son, that's all. If you want to know more about him, then you either hear Izan or Tsunade, I heard that they often train him. Thank you, I'll visit them later, but now it's time to get Minato home. Seating Haru on his shoulders, the man said, after which he wandered towards the residence, along with Kushina. Minato, as usual, was fully loaded with paperwork. However, a knock on the door interrupted him from his work. Open. Leaning back in his chair, the blonde said. Bending down in the doorway, a tall white-haired man entered with Haru sitting on his shoulders. Dad. The girl shouted and hurried to get off her godfather. Haru, hi. Minato said, hugging his daughter as he ran up. Long time no see, Minato. Jiraiya, he's finally back, said the fourth, ruffling his daughter's hair. Well, now home? Kushina said walking in after Jiraiya. Minato, realizing that he would definitely not work today, only agreed, after which, with the help of the Flying Thunder God, he transferred everyone to his home. Naruto sat on the mountain with the faces of the previous cage and watched the village drowning in the rays of the setting sun. Well, hello. He heard a hissing voice behind him. Father? Throwing a glance at the newcomer over his right shoulder, the brunette asked in shock. He is. said Orochimaru, licking his lips. Commentary on he is the most. Please show the asset, this fic has very cool inclinations, there is so much to do here, a huge field for action. But when I see that there are only 40 people waiting for a new chapter, the desire to write disappears. Fake. AIKKO and pyrokinesis, black heart. As for me, the head is just Zashib, it has everything. Minor characters are revealed, the end, which makes you wait for the next chapter, but how do you like it? Someday you'll know the truth, but not now. Can go anywhere, do anything, complete shit, but only with the smell of freedom. Naruto sat on the mountain with the faces of the previous cage and watched the village drowning in the rays of the setting sun. Well, hello. He heard a hissing voice behind him. Father? Throwing a glance at the newcomer over his right shoulder, the brunette asked in shock. He is. Orochimaru licked his lips as he walked closer to Naruto. I was looking for information about you, but I couldn't find anything, and after so many searches, you appear right in front of me. Orochi silently sat next to his son, watching Konoha, the place he grew up in, the village that had betrayed him. I think you want to know why I came? Looking at the guy, asked the apostate. And not only. I have come to give you power, call it what you will. I saw your fight with Itachi, and I realized that you can handle it quite well. But how did you see him? I have my spies everywhere. Orochimaru said, pulling a scroll from his bosom. This is a summoning technique, since a long time ago, our clan signed a contract only with snakes. I think that if you perform the summoning technique, you will also be transported to Raichido, the home of snakes. But what is all this for? Why are you helping me? I won't believe it's just because I'm your son. Naruto said, glaring at the Sannin. You are too young to understand the whole picture. Do you think I'm a renegade? Seeing an uncertain nod. That I myself left Konoha? Naruto nodded again, realizing that it wasn't that simple. It's right, everyone in the village presents it in such a way that I performed inhuman experiments on people, killed, and in the end, left the village, becoming an apostate. But in reality it was not so. For now, it's too early for you to know about this, because, firstly, you won't understand, and secondly, I will impose my views on life on you, which I don't want to do at all. I want you to grow up, and later I would tell you the whole truth, so that you make your own choice and say who is to blame. If you want to find me, you will definitely find me. Someday your path will surely lead you to me, and it depends only on this whether we will be on opposite sides of the barricades or one at a time. Heard the crackling of branches. What the hell was that? Naruto thought while hiding the scroll in his kimono. Hi, sorry I had to wait so long. It was Itachi who walked over to Mikami and sat next to him. Ah, Itachi? Naruto said absently. What's the matter with you? It's like you saw a ghost. Noticing the state of his friend, Itachi said. What did the Hokage say to you? Naruto asked, shrugging off the previous question. Well, the Chunin exam is in 2 weeks, genin from different countries and villages will flock to Konoha to try their luck and become Chunin. Even the Raikage himself will come. Wow, that means the exam will be fun. Naruto thought, looking up from his recent conversation with his father. Yes, so we will need to give our best. Looking around at Konoha, on the streets of which people still occasionally walked. Then, from tomorrow we will train. I learned a couple of new tricks here, I think they will be useful to us. Won't you share? Fascinated looking at Konoha, filling his lungs with fresh air, asked the Uchiha. Let it be a surprise for you. Naruto said and smiled and stood up, heading towards the house. Then see you in 2 weeks. Also getting up from the ground, said the eldest son Fugaku. Good. 2 weeks later, Naruto quickly dressed, jumped out into the street and headed to the academy where the written exam would be held. Most of the trees no longer had leaves, and therefore they stood naked, giving the village its charm. Quickly running to the academy building, Naruto went inside, where Itachi was already waiting for him. Hey Naruto, you're late. Itachi said with mock resentment in his voice. Sorry, I just overslept. Naruto justified, after which they went to the 3rd floor, where there should have been room 310, in which the exam was actually held. What do you think the next step will be? Naruto asked as he turned around to face his friend. I don't know, but does it matter? You're right. Naruto replied with a smile. Knocking on the auditorium door, Naruto and Itachi stepped inside. There were a lot of people in the office and everyone had different bandages. At the back were genin with grass village headbands. At the front desks were the Konoha shinobi and Kumo, the rain shinobi. Finding empty seats, Itachi and Naruto sat down at their desks. Next to Mikami was a shinobi Kumo, who was lounging imposingly in his place. Kanakavitz? Do you look somehow familiar? Said Osoi, that was the name of the shinobi from Kumo. You are confusing me with someone else. Naruto said as he sat down in his seat. No, I've seen you somewhere before. Pale skin, bright purple rims around the eyes, amber eyes, long and sleek black hair. He began to quietly list all the external signs of a brunette. Definitely, it can't be. Osoi suddenly yelled. Are you the one, son of Sanan Orochimaru? After his shout, almost everyone in the audience turned their attention to the two guys. Most immediately became interested in the boy and therefore began to carefully examine and study him. Someone already even wanted to ask something, but Minato Namikaze and the examiner entered the audience. This is the first stage of the Chunin exam, namely the written one. After all your works are handed over, they will be checked in a short time, and those who could not pass it will be weeded out. The rest will be sent to the second and final stage, which will take place today at the arena at 1400 hours. You will find further information there. Minato said, after which he gave the floor to the examiner. If someone is caught cheating, then he and the team will be removed from the exam. If you do not reach the threshold, then you and your team will also fail the exam. Now you will be given tests. You have 2 hours to decide. In his words, a couple of Chunin entered the audience with stacks of papers in their hands. Of course these were tests. Half an hour later, Naruto, along with Itachi, got up from their seats and went to the examiner to pass them. Whoever said what, but the test was still quite difficult. It did not affect the events of only one village. Probably half will be eliminated for sure, I think even more, Naruto thought. There are 92 people in the audience. I think that after the test there will be a maximum of 23, Itachi thought, after which he turned in his work and followed his friend. Well, how do you like this test? Naruto asked as he and Itachi were outside waiting for their results. The cold autumn air hit the two guys as they left the building, causing both of them to shiver involuntarily. I don't think there will be much left. Watching everyone, I realized that they didn't count on such a difficult test. Some just sculpted at random, and some diligently wrote. I think there will be 23 to 26 people left of us. Itachi said as he looked up at the cloudless sky. Thank God it's not raining, the Uchiha thought then. Honestly, I think so too, yet the test was really difficult. Even I sometimes had tasks that needed a lot of thought. Naruto said as he sat down on the cold ground. Commentary on someday, you will know the truth, but not now. I think here, to develop the plot quickly or more slowly, well, like after his exam in the Anbu, paint a couple of missions, how he becomes stronger, looking for information about Orochi, or what? Unsubscribe. In the last part, a good asset was shown. Can you do the same in this one? Aiko is so uninteresting. The final stage of the Chunin exams part 1. Come on, break me one more time. It's not hard for you to kill me here and now. There's no more room for pain on a tortured heart. I am in this world only to mourn and nothing more. After only 2 hours, all the results finally became known. Naruto was already pretty cold because it was quite cold outside. The next stage is Naruto Mikami, Uchiha Itachi, Izura Teshi, Hei Saratobi, Shiro Hagoromo. Naruto no longer listened to the instructor because he had already learned what he needed. But Itachi seemed to be listening to the examiner attentively. Even less than I expected. Only 20 people, which means 6 teams, not counting us. Turning to his friend, Itachi said after the examiner finished his speech. It's strange that they even decided to do only a written exam, because perhaps a person is not well versed in any history, but his practical skills are above average and quite suitable for a Chunin. Naruto noticed, fixing his gaze somewhere far away, continuing to think about his own. Damn, isn't everything so easy with your father? These thoughts never left my mind. Everyone who passed, please follow me, said the examiner and went to the side where the arena was. That is where the second stage of the exam will be. Naruto, let's go. Itachi's voice brought Mikami back from his thoughts, and he got up and followed the examiner. Listen, there's something wrong with you lately. Can you tell me what you're thinking about? Noticing the state of his friend, who was already like 2 weeks, 1.5 was already painfully absent-minded. Not here. The brunette said shortly, continuing to look somewhere ahead, once again plunging into his thoughts. We need to figure it out, but only later. Now I need to focus on the exam, Naruto thought and shook his head. I hope this way to get unnecessary thoughts out of my head. Arriving at the arena, which was located on the outskirts of the village, in the direction to the east, Naruto and the rest of the past settled in a small room, waiting for them to be called into the arena. Even from inside it was audible that enough people had gathered in the stands. Everyone was noisy and noisy. The genin were on pins and needles because in the near future what many aspired to so much, prepared hard, trained, squeezed the maximum out of themselves, and all for the sake of the title of Chunin, should have happened. After a couple of minutes, the genin were called to the arena. Coming out, bright sunlight hit the brunette's eyes, although the sun was now at its zenith and shone brightly, but there was no heat. Now, perhaps, will be one of the most difficult tests in your life. The Chunin exam is always a path full of dangers, although this year the main part was the written exam. I wish you all good luck. I am sure that each of you is fully worthy of this title, even according to the results of the exam. Everything is completely in your hands. Not only the winner of the exam will become a Chunin, but also the one who shows a worthy fight. Even if he loses, he will still become a Chunin. The examiner will tell you how the next stage will be carried out. Having finished his speech, Minato sat down near the rakeage on a bed specially reserved for the cage. How many contenders do you think there will be for the title of Chunin this time? Minato asked, turning to Au. Time will tell, but I think all the fights will be spectacular. In any case, I hope so. The fourth rakeage replied honestly. The exam will be held in a one-on-one combat format. It was clear from the faces of many genin that they were greatly shocked by what they heard. None of them wanted to fight against their own comrades, and this is quite possible. You will see the grid on the screen. The opponents are selected randomly. When your fight is over, you go down to the arena and wait for your opponent, after which, on command, start the fight. Until then, you will be in a designated area for genin, where you will be escorted by the second examiner. Killing, inflicting mortal wounds is not forbidden, but it is better to do without it. The examiner said, looking around at all the genin, many of whom were scared, some were excited, some were eager for battles, and some were calm and relaxed. Gekko Hayato shifted his gaze to the cage box. Seeing the nod, he glanced at the scoreboard. Follow me, please, said the Chunin, who approached the genin from behind. The first fight between Naruto Mikami from Konoha and Seru from the cloud. The named genin remained in the arena, waiting for the start. Mikami? This is not the same son of Orochimaru? With a slight disdain, which appeared on behalf of the once legendary Sannin of Konoha, who was respected by many, he asked. He is. Minato replied curtly as he began to keep a close eye on Naruto. He looks like 8 to 9 years old. Is it possible that older shinobi were transferred to Konoha? He will die. Don't be so sure, I'm sure he'll convince you. The fourth Hokage replied with a slight smile. A lot of people gathered in the stands. The brunette had enough time to see them all. Kushina, Haru, Menma, Fugaku and his family, there were a lot of familiar faces, however Naruto couldn't see them, even though he tried to deny it, but he wished the old man, Tsunade and Aya, would come to see how we'll take the exam. Look, don't lose. Aya shouted loudly, which immediately attracted the brunette's attention. I'm glad you came. Standing next to Aya were Tsunade, Jiraiya, Hiruzen and Dan, Aya's father, and just behind them, Naruto saw someone he certainly didn't expect to see. It was definitely him, but how he was able to sneak in here unnoticed, Naruto couldn't understand. As you already guessed, it was Orochimaru, in a long black cloak with a hood, under which he hid his identity. You are ready? Hayato asked, and after seeing 2 affirmative nods, he jumped back with the words, begin. Naruto immediately pulled out the katana from the scabbard, which until then rested peacefully on the brunette's belt. After pumping lightning chakra through it, Naruto quickly moved towards his opponent, intent on taking him by surprise. The slashing blow from above was blocked in time by the kunai that Seru managed to pull out of his pouch. However, the brunette's katana sliced through the kunai like a hot knife through butter, nearly hitting the genin from the cloud. Apparently my theory is correct, Naruto thought, not even thinking to slow down. Faster and faster, Naruto wielded his chakra-infused weapon. One well-placed strike could easily be fatal. From a horizontal strike, the Cloud Genin successfully dodged by jumping back slightly. While Seru began to jump back, Naruto deftly pulled out 4 stars with his left hand and threw them at the enemy. 2 shurikens pierced into both shoulders, severely restricting movement and bringing pain, and the remaining 2 were aimed at the enemy's body in order to slow him down slightly for the next attack. Naruto quickly intercepted the katana and with a wide right hand, at neck level, was about to end the fight. I give up. Seru said, and Naruto's katana stopped a couple of centimeters from the Kumo Genin's neck. Just a little bit later, just a few fractions of a second later, and Seru would have lost his head. From the realization of this thought, the Kumo Genin lost consciousness, falling to the cold ground, which the sun was trying to warm with all its might. Naruto stopped channeling chakra through the katana and sheathed it, waiting for the examiner. The winner is Mikami Naruto. Silence remained in the stands. Everyone thought about what they saw. The shinobi, of course, immediately realized that the brunette was ready to kill the guy just to win, which on the one hand was right, but on the other. Naruto silently walked towards the genin balcony where he could watch the fight. A wave of whispers passed through the stands, from which only a few words were understandable. He. Exactly. Will go. By. Footsteps. His. Father. These words echoed in the brunette's ears. They, just like me, don't know anything about him, Naruto thought and glanced at Hiruzen, whose face did not express anything. He was probably shocked. Aya rejoiced at the victory. Tsunade and Jiraiya were also happy for the brunette. Having gone through more than a dozen battles, they understood that the either you or you rule always applies here. If he had killed Sarah, he would have been in trouble. As always in his own way, he put it, who was greatly surprised by Naruto's abilities and, most importantly, his thinking and analysis. We will try not to let that happen again. Minato replied admiringly. The fight was really spectacular, and the denouement could not be predicted until the last moment. Commentary on the last stage of the Chunin exams part 1. I thought to finish the chapter in the morning, but it became a waste. I think I described all the rules. How do you like it? See it, no regrets. Chunin exam part 2. Pedal to the floor and fly with the wind. Thinking? Who could I be? One wrong step is an article. Climbing up to the balcony reserved for the genin, Naruto sat down on the concrete, leaning his back against a wall, immersed in his thoughts. The audience still hasn't moved on from what just happened, and neither have the genin themselves. What the hell do you even think you're doing? What if you killed him? Kicking the outstretched legs of the brunette, said some shinobi with a cloud bandage. Naruto just looked up at him, looking through him. You didn't hear me? Well, answer. The boy said as he lifted Naruto up by his chest. Who else are you? Mikami asked without even resisting. One of the best Kumo shinobi, Rei. Proudly said a guy with blonde hair who was slightly taller than a brunette. Naruto just looked at him indifferently. He now did not care about those whom he sees for the first time in his life. Calm down, your friend is alive, especially since the Hokage won't let that happen again. Itachi said as he approached the two guys. If you harm any of my comrades, you will die. Throwing Naruto on the concrete, Rei said, and headed in the opposite direction. Hey, how are you? Itachi asked, holding out his hand. Fine. Naruto muttered as he accepted a helping hand. If you are wondering how I feel about this situation, then everything is fine. The Chunin exams were never without bloodshed because it's either you or you. And indeed, Naruto was important to know the attitude of his friend, and when he heard that everything was fine, he noticeably calmed down. New names flashed on the scoreboard, Kagami Uchiha from Konoha and Siren from the Grass Village. Naruto did not pay much attention to further fights, his eyes were riveted on Hiruzen, near which sat a man in a black cloak with a hood pulled over his head. What is he thinking now? Naruto thought, closing his eyes. Imagination immediately draws the moment when the brunette had almost killed Sarah. He, like me, is a shinobi, so he was ready for death. I did everything right, the brunette reassured himself, shifting his gaze to the Reikage. Sensei, you know that he did everything right, there is no point in looking askance at him, especially for people like us. The man said as he sat down next to the old Hokage. Here's someone, but I didn't expect to see you here. Hiruzen said, turning his head towards his former student. But you're right, he did everything right. I'm glad you understand that. What fate are you here? Looking at how the Uchiha folds the seals for another fire technique, the old man said. Came to watch my son perform. Or maybe visit some old friends. Arachi smiled, though it wasn't visible because of his hood. I think you were more than satisfied. Hiruzen said. Kagami, meanwhile, knocked out her opponent with an accurate kick from the foot. The winner is Uchiha Kagami of Konoha. The examiner announced, after which the doctors took the unconscious body of the guy and took him to the first aid post. This fight was not as spectacular as the previous one. Naruto, I'm going, it's my fight now. Itachi said as he walked past his friend. Look, don't lose. Naruto smiled and got up off the floor. Of course, I think it will be easy. The Uchiha said, glancing back at the scoreboard, his fight would be against a shinobi from Konoha, Saiyan Yuzuka. You are ready? The examiner asked as both contestants descended into the arena, both guys nodding as they prepared to fight. We started. Hayato shouted back. Itachi immediately activated his Sharingan, and the Inyazuka clan member took out his trusty comrade, the Ninken. Itachi did not bother for a long time, and therefore, as soon as he saw the puppy, he used a rather simple genjutsu on him. Sei did not even notice this, rushing into close combat, hoping that due to the superiority in numbers, he would be able to win. Itachi began to quickly fold the already bored seals, fire techniques. Big fireball. Whispered Itachi, blowing out an impressive balloon. The Inyazuka, as expected, jumped back, dodging the technique, but fell right into the Uchiha's trap. A loud explosion resounded throughout the arena, where Sei jumped was kunai with explosive seals that Itachi threw immediately after the technique. Inyazuka was not badly hurt, although the explosion was strong, but touched him on a tangent, yet the Uchiha did not want to seriously injure his opponent. Sei could no longer continue the fight, which means Itachi won. But a strong generation is growing up in Konoha. Said the Reikage, assessing the Uchiha's abilities. Itachi is a real genius, I would say that he surpassed even me here. Minato said with a good-natured smile at Au. Nai-san, as always, I think he will pass easily and become a Chunin. Said Sasuke, who was sitting next to his father. I think so too, Itachi is great. Mikoto said with a smile. Fugaku, on the other hand, looked proudly at his son, but did not say anything. He had such a character. Itachi will easily become a Chunin, what do you think? Menma asked Kushina. Well, it seems to me that only Naruto can compete with him. Honestly, said Kushina, who analyzed the fights all the time. However, the strong genin this year are much stronger than us, I guess. Jiraiya said with a laugh, and Tsunade, who was standing next to him, just nodded. They have great potential, Dan remarked, and added a little later. It's a pity Nawaki is on a mission now, I think he would like today's battles. I think so too, but still, who will win in the end? Jiraiya asked as he thought. Well, only one thing pleases, we will soon find out about it. Tsunade said and smiled. New names flashed on the scoreboard, now the Hyuga and the genin from the cloud were supposed to fight, their fight ended pretty quickly. As they say, for Shinobi Kumo was an uncomfortable opponent, to whom he could not oppose anything, and therefore quickly lost to him. Rei was next up against a genin from Konoha, I think his name was Saratobi Day. The battle also went one gate, against the elements of the storm, the improved genin, a member of the Saratobi clan could not do anything, and therefore lost quite quickly, and with numerous injuries, was sent to the hospital, where doctors had already taken care of him. After this fight, Naruto dozed off. Hey, Naruto, wake up, your fight against Itachi shook the brunette by the shoulder, looking again at the scoreboard, there were two names. Naruto and Rei, and what? Mikami asked sleepily, opening his eyes. You're in deep trouble. The genin from the cloud promised as Rei said as he walked past the brunette. Wow, that sounds like it would be interesting. Orochimaru hissed, and here is an only slightly tensed up. Don't worry, Naruto will definitely win. Tsunade said as she stroked her daughter's hair. I hope, she whispered softly. The cage visibly tensed up because they understood that this fight was unlikely to end in goodness and friendship. Both Minato and A closely followed every step of the genin, who could safely be called weak jonin. Can we refuse to hold this fight? Minato asked, noticing his colleague's tension. I think that the two fastest shinobi will have time to intervene in the duel before the bloody ending. He said without looking away from Naruto. As long as it turns out to be true. Said the fourth, turning his attention back to the arena. Don't even think you'll get out of here alive. Rei said. He certainly had a reason to hate, although Naruto did not know him, but Orochimaru, while still young, brutally killed his parents, leaving the boy an orphan. You will say that it is stupid to take revenge on someone for what his ancestor did, whether it be a father or a distant relative, but Rei had no other option. He could not kill or take revenge on Orochimaru in any way, and therefore the choice fell on his son. Don't waste words, but rather prove it with your actions. Naruto said, placing his right hand on his katana. Naruto, show me what you can do, if you die, I won't forgive you, Itachi thought as he activated his Sharingan. If only everything worked out, thought Aya, looking at the brunette. Commentary on Chunin exams part 2. How about you? I didn't describe all the fights because it was a waste, you don't need to condemn me for this, you would also be too lazy to come up with names and abilities again on the most interesting? Yes, you're right, but I'm sleeping at my father's tonight and there's no computer, so another chapter will be out today. There will be a fight between Naruto and Rei. How do you like the head? I like it. Markle, let's break through. Chunin exam CH3. Above me is a clean horizontal. Silence to me is a close old creature. Time to go prime. A. Where guests are not ashamed. Where one would not sleep in the region. Fucked our backbone right there. Feeling like I don't know anyone. A. And now I'm definitely neither with you nor with you. Hey, now you and I are nobody. That's the shameless tone. Don't waste words, but rather prove it with your actions. Naruto said, placing his right hand on his katana. I'll kill you. Rei gritted through his teeth, looking withering eyes at his opponent. You are ready? Seeing two weak nods, Gekko waved his right hand, shouting start. Then he hurried to get out of the arena. Minato and A became even more tense and attentive. Rei slowly put his hand on the sword resting behind him. It was much larger than a regular katana and many times slower and more maneuverable. Naruto began to unwittingly let out the will to kill, just like Rei. Everyone wanted to feel the smell of blood, its warmth on their palms. The thirst for murder began to resonate with each other, spreading throughout the arena. Some genin fell unconscious, even adult shinobi who had gone through many battles, saw death in its most terrible manifestation, flinched, and goosebumps went down their backs. Naruto deftly drew his katana from its scabbard and ran straight at Rei, intending to hit him or at least move. Genin Clouds was not afraid of an attack from his enemy, but on the contrary, he was completely ready for it. Drawing a large sword from behind his back, Rei blocked the first blow. As the weapons clashed, sparks were knocked out, and the sound of metal resounded throughout the arena. The horizontal strike was again blocked by the sword. Naruto began to speed up, and a little later, gradually began to draw chakra through the katana, making it more deadly. Punch, block, another punch, block. For every brunette attack, Kumo Shinobi found protection, but Naruto didn't even think to slow down. On the contrary, he began to accelerate more and more, passing more and more chakra through the katana, because of which the latter had already begun to sparkle and make sounds characteristic of lightning, namely crackling and high-frequency sound, similar to birds singing. Lightning literally fell off the katana, and the blows began to gradually push the genin out of the cloud. Realizing that he was about to lose, Ray swung his sword, parried another blow from the katana, thus gaining a few moments for himself, during which he jumped back and began to fill the seals. Seeing this, the brunette also began to make seals. Storm Release? Storm Fang. The enhanced genom that Ray possessed was an order of magnitude higher than the normal water and lightning techniques in terms of destructiveness and strength. Brighten. Storm Dragon. Naruto shouted at the same time as his opponent, waving his arms. A fang of energy, composed of natural transformations of water and lightning, headed straight for the dragon composed of lightning. Damn, his technique is stronger, the brunette flashed through his head, after which he quickly jumped away, and after a second, in the place where he had stood before, the enemy's technique pierced, taking the form of a fang, like a kiba. The Hall, looking at all this with bated breath, it seemed that no one was even breathing, everyone was so absorbed in the battle that they did not notice anything around. For all the spectators, there was only an arena and two boys who fight in it. I'll have to take advantage of this, even though I haven't perfected this technique to the point of mastery, but I think it will work. Crossing his arms, creating a shadow clone, Naruto thought. Suiton? Tsunami? Futon? Tornado? Two Narutos said at the same time, after which an impressive tornado appeared on the arena, which gradually turned into a whirlpool on wheels, intending to drown, but at the same time tear to shreds anyone who falls under this technique. But the brunette did not even think about stopping there, and how as soon as the technique began to take shape, he began to fill the seals again. Brighten. A stream of hundreds of lightnings thanks to the well-coordinated actions of Naruto, it turned out to be quite a deadly and dangerous technique that rushed straight at Ray. While the brunette was busy preparing for the technique, the shinobi from Kumo did not stand still, and therefore he also prepared his technique. It was the strongest technique in his arsenal, and if he could not kill the brunette with it, then everything was in vain, because he would lose almost all of his chakra. Storm Release? Raging Destruction. It would seem that nature itself obeyed the command of Ray, near whom energy of colossal proportions began to concentrate. I'll kill you. Launching techniques at the enemy, two guys shouted at the same time, hatred and boundless anger in their voice. A huge deafening explosion reverberated through the arena, it could be heard even in the most secluded corners of Konoha, and the raging elements could be observed from any corner of the village. The Cage realized with horror that they were too late. Heck! Minato yelled as he jumped up from his seat. Quiet, calm down. Hey, said. There is someone standing on their feet, which means that not everything is so bad. The Raikage himself got up from his seat, carefully peering into the center of the arena. After a couple of minutes, when the raging elements died down, the outlines of a brunette became visible, who could hardly stand on his feet, but stood. The whole arena watched the denouement with bated breath, everyone was eager to know the end of this fight, who would win. Cold drops of rain washed away the blood from the sand, Naruto's hair quickly got wet, and the brunette himself could hardly stand on his feet. At the last moment, he succeeded, but he spent all the chakra, and if his enemy is still on his feet, then he lost. From his right hand, the clothes on which were torn to shreds, blood trickled down and dripped onto the ground, which was immediately washed away by raindrops. The clothes on the right side hung in tatters, exposing the boy's bloodied torso. Raising the katana which lay on the ground near the guy, Naruto slowly walked in the direction where Ray should be. The genin from Kumo was lying in a semi-conscious state, there was literally no living place on him. How he turned out to be alive was another mystery. Naruto tightened his grip on the katana and began to slowly approach the enemy. All the skin on the upper part of his body was turned into mincemeat, the blood flowed down his body, and the rain simply did not have time to wash it off. You lose. Naruto said in a hoarse voice, bringing the katana over his head. Having passed the remnants of the chakra through the katana, the guy began to lower the weapon to take the life of the one who encroached on him, in order to prove to himself that he was stronger than the upstart from the cloud. Hatred and anger, the desire to end everything, that's what drove the guy. However, Naruto did not have time to lower the katana, someone grabbed it tightly, the guy turned back and saw the Raikage, who was seriously looking at the brunette. Through the wet hair that covered his eyes and seriously interfered with the view, the brunette saw the unwillingness to see death in the eyes of the Raikage. He did not know how to explain it, but he knew for sure that the Raikage did not want to see another death, which he had already seen enough. Turning his head and looking at Ray, Naruto saw the Hokage yelling something about doctors. Let go of Mr. Raikage, I'll remove the katana. Naruto said in a low, barely audible whisper. He let go of the weapon, which immediately fell near the guy, with a dull ringing. The blade must have fallen on the pebbles, Naruto thought before falling unconscious. An interesting fight, in other words, I already learned everything that I needed. See you, sensei. Orochimaru said as he disappeared into the Shunshin. He won. Aya called out, joy in her voice. Turning around, Aya did not see her mother, who was already in the center of the arena, and began to heal both genin in an attempt to save them. The wounds that the guys inflicted on each other were monstrous and very serious. Both of them urgently needed a blood transfusion, and therefore they were quickly taken to the hospital. Don't worry, everything will be fine with him, your mother is treating him. Jiraiya replied with a smile, which calmed the girl, who was still looking after the departing doctors. The remaining fights were cancelled, and everyone who made it to this point was given the title of Chunin. The Hokage and the Raikage were busy settling political issues. Itachi ran quickly, not looking at the road, stepping into puddles every now and then, but did not pay any attention to it. He ran to the hospital, where he simply had to find out the condition of his friend. Survive, do you hear? Itachi said, turning to empty space. Commentary on Chunin Exams Part 3. In the next chapter 1 will tell you how Naruto was able to survive and not take so much damage. The head of the rules seems to be, the fight is well planned, I like everything, but maybe the end let us down. Nagaznal Antihero, https://discord.gg/e58ky6. Flyin, if there is a lot, then I will make a separate troll for you and a chat in which you can write your wishes or criticism, and in general, if I throw off some information, feedback on the chapter is welcome. It's not difficult for you, I'm glad. I will get stronger. Ch1. Rooftops, crows in the sky, ashes drip on gray heads. There are faces around you, but you are lonely. You thought to fall in love, but took it and crashed. And time goes by, it does not regret. It does not forgive the mistakes of fate. You want to go home, but who is waiting for you? Run while you can, run. Opening his eyes, Naruto saw that Itachi was sitting next to him, his head on the bed. He was peacefully, but soundly sleeping. Damn, everything hurts, Naruto thought, looking down at his right side of the body, which was all bandaged. TC. Having endured the pain, Naruto said through his teeth. Naruto? Are you awake? Itachi said, jumping up immediately, opening his sleepy eyes. Don't shout like that, said Naruto, who had a headache on top of everything else. You need to lie down, otherwise your wounds may open. Ignoring my friend's request, Itachi said. Okay, just be quiet. Listen, I'm still tormented by the question, how could you survive? Itachi asked, looking at his friend. The Uchiha saw everything perfectly through his Sharingan, only Naruto had to die there in the arena. Rei's technique was too strong, it was supposed to just tear the brunette, but for some reason it hit him on a tangent. Flashback, I'll kill you. Launching techniques at the enemy, two guys shouted at the same time, hatred and boundless anger in their voice. Damn, if it goes like this, I'll die, Naruto thought as he channeled almost all of his remaining chakra through his katana. The weapon instantly began to sparkle and blue, and lightning bolts flew out from the blade in different directions, without touching the brunette himself. Heaven-breaking strike. A swing of the katana, from the right shoulder, horizontal to the ground, released a huge amount of concentrated energy that took the form of an arc. Great, Naruto thought as he saw that thanks to his strike, the enemy's technique should no longer hit him, but only lightly hurt him. If you want to win, you need to sacrifice something, the guy thought, and the next second he felt a hell of a pain in the area of U200 the right shoulder. I won. Seeing that his techniques, including the last one, had achieved their goal, Naruto closed his eyes in severe pain. End of flashback. I shifted his technique slightly to the right, which caused it to hit me on a tangent, but even so, I suffered a lot, which indicates my weakness. I won't protect anyone like that, Naruto thought after explaining everything to his friend. Damn, you could at least not scare me like that, I already thought you were dead. Itachi breathed a sigh of relief. I won't die just like that. Naruto smiled and closed his eyes, wild fatigue rolled over him, and therefore he fell asleep again. Itachi, realizing that the brunette needed peace, quietly left the room, glancing at Mikami. Old man? The next time Naruto opened his eyes, he saw Hiruzen walking from side to side with a worried face. Thank God, you seriously scared me, Saratobi said honestly, taking out his pipe and sitting on the chair next to the bed. Sorry. The boy said sadly as he looked at his sensei. That was a great fight, I'm glad you didn't kill him after all. Old man. Naruto said seriously, drawing attention to himself. I'm thinking of leaving the village for a while. I need to become stronger so that I can protect those I care about. Those who raised me, those to whom I owe, you, Itachi. But now I'm too weak. Looking out the window, avoiding the eyes of the old man, said the guy. You want to go to Orochimaru, don't you? Hiruzen asked, who had wanted to talk about this for a long time. Looking out the window, the old man saw a slightly overcast sky. Bare tall trees towered above the ground, and the cold autumn wind made many shinobi and ordinary people shiver. Although they were in the room, but all the same, looking at such weather on the street, you yourself become a little cold. Autumn is a time of sadness and depression for many, symbolically, that it was at this time of year that the brunette decided that he needed to leave Konoha. I have wanted to talk to you about this for a long time. The old man said, taking a puff and exhaling smoke rings, still looking at the landscape opening outside the window. The crackling and flashing of the lamps in the corridor suggested a strange forcing sensation. I can't stop you, I can only advise how best to do it, and then it's up to you to decide whether you will listen to me or go the way you chose initially. Orochimaru is a good person who has been undeservedly declared an enemy of the people and a traitor to the village. I know that you are going to him, he is your father, the legendary Sannin, he will be able to train you, much better than me. However, if you want to leave Konoha, then you should come up with a better excuse than I need to leave the village to be trained by an S+ rank apostate. Smiling, the old man looked at his student. But still, if you decide to leave, then don't come to me, you shouldn't say goodbye to anyone at all. It will be harder to leave. The scroll is under your pillow. The old man finally advised, after which he got up from his chair, smiling warmly, and left the room. It's decided, I'll leave today at dawn. Looking at the clock, Naruto thought. Pulling out the scroll and unrolling it, Naruto found the seals to be folded for this technique. The summoning technique hopefully will transport me to the snakes from where I can then travel to my father, Naruto thought hopefully as he rolled up the scroll and tucked it back under his pillow. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning on the clock. You could occasionally see people on the street, and then they were shinobi who either went on a mission, or vice versa, hurried to submit a report on the completed mission as soon as possible, and then go home to their wife and children. The hospital seemed to have died out, although sometimes steps were heard, but they were nurses who made a night round in order to check very seriously ill patients, of which there were many. The shinobi world is dangerous and equally cruel to everyone. Naruto quietly got out of bed, the wounds received in the recent battle no longer hurt, putting on his kimono, which lay neatly on one of the chairs, unfolded the scroll, and began to reread it again, afraid to make a mistake in the hand seals. Hanging the katana on his belt, the guy was ready. Backward summoning technique. Naruto said, hitting the floor before ending up in a strange cave. We have been waiting for you, Mikami Naruto. Came a hissing serpentine voice from the darkness. Ryuseto? Naruto asked into the darkness, after his words, in the cave, which smelled of dampness, torches lit up, illuminating the entire space and blinding the guy. Covering his eyes with his hands from the bright light, the brunette began to carefully look around. Don't worry, we won't hurt you. Said a huge snake, which was several times larger than the boy himself. Come follow me. Said the snake and turning around, crawled into the cave, and Mikami hurried after her. While the guy was running, he examined the cave in detail, which turned out to be extremely beautiful, especially illuminated by the light of torches. The Hokage-sama, Mikami Naruto, has disappeared. Running into the offices of the Hokage, said the doctor who did the night round. How did he disappear? Minato jumped up from his chair. Commentary on I Will Become Stronger Part 1, Lizer from this city. The chapter with a buzz, it described how Naruto could survive. I think that he didn't give him super strength, even though it's Marty stew, or whatever it is. In the next chapter 1 will reveal what happened to Rei, what is there with the cloud. I will open the branch with Itachi and the rest of Naruto's friends. In general, the work is heaped up, in through the chapter 1 will make a time skip, MB. I think you will like it. Again, if you write a review, like it there, I will be pleased. And then thoughts already appear to throw a fic and start writing a new one, all because of my stupidity. The fic simply does not fall into the popular and the get genre, and therefore does not normally gain views, but here everything is again complicated. But I think you can do it. I will get stronger PT2. The sky loved me, but I did not open my eyes. Lonely problem in a lonely you. Sadness flows in my skin, my voice trembles in you. You and I are so different, having lived the same way. The Hokage-sama, Mikami Naruto, has disappeared. Running into the offices of the Hokage, said the doctor who did the night round. How did he disappear? Minato jumped up from his chair. Wolf, tiger. Said the fourth, after which two Anbu in a tiger and wolf mask appeared in his office. Did you call, Hokage-sama? The Anbushniks asked, standing on one knee. It is urgent to gather the Jonins so that they comb the entire Konoha and the area around. Mikami Naruto is gone. There is. At the same moment, the two shinobi disappeared from the Hokage's office and separated on the street, headed to the houses of the Konoha Jonin, interrupting their sleep. Thank God the Raikage didn't have any questions due to the injuries inflicted in battle, Minato thought as Rei appeared before his eyes again, without one of his arms, which he had lost due to the last blow of the brunette. 4 years later, a tall guy was walking along the dusty road in a white kimono with a hood of the same color, on the back of which a katana with a white handle hung. A black snake was embroidered on the back of the kimono. The sun was at its zenith, it was a hot summer day, the guy was already approaching one of the greatest hidden villages, in which such brilliant shinobi as Minato Namikaze, Sarutobi Hiruzen were born, and it was founded by two shinobi gods, Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. The massive walls of Konoha had already appeared on the horizon with open gates. Having mingled with the crowd of tourists, the stranger entered the village. But nothing has changed here, probably first you should look at Itachi, thought the guy in a kimono, and headed along the road to the Uchiha quarter. Releasing a white snake from the sleeve of her clothes, she crawled in the opposite direction from the quarter. The snake perfectly felt the chakra, it was something like a sensor, and therefore headed towards the source of Itachi's chakra. Interesting, thought the guy, and went after the reptile. Tall, massive green trees adorned the village, and under their tall crowns and scattered branches, one could hide from such an annoying sun. A cool wind was blowing in the shade, which could not but please the guy. The snake led the guy to a large lake, on the shore of which two people were sitting. As you may have guessed, that unknown person in the cloak was Mikami Naruto. The brunette saw a couple of young people who were sitting and eating dango, one of which was Itachi, and the second was a short girl with the same black hair as the guy. Standing slightly behind a tree, Naruto began to listen to their conversation, trying to make out what they were talking about. "Itachi, how is the service in the Anbu?" the girl asked, sending another ball into her mouth. "Be quiet, I ask you not to talk about it like that, you never know. You forgot, I'm a censor, there are no people around us for 100 meters, so you don't have to worry." The girl replied with a smile. "I'm sorry, Izumi, something went out of my head." "It's okay, the Hokage said that I'll be captain soon." Itachi replied, marveling at the pristine nature. "Itachi," the girl said, frightened, starting to look around, in search of that hearth of chakra, which she only felt for a second behind one of the trees. "What?" The guy was alert and activated the Manjikyu. "Looks like we are being followed," said the Uchiha, finally finding the tree behind which she sensed foreign chakra. It was rather dark, which frightened the girl. "Where?" Itachi, who knew about his girlfriend's abilities, immediately asked a question. "There." The girl answered in the same whisper, pointing to the tree. "Understood." Taking out the kunai, Itachi was near that tree in a second, but he saw nothing but a note written in clumsy handwriting. It was clear that it had been written hastily. Unfolding the piece of paper, Itachi saw only one sentence. "Today at 1800 hours on the mountain with the faces of the Hokage, come alone, I still won't be able to harm you." After reading it, Itachi was very surprised, but putting the note in his pocket, he nevertheless decided to go there and see who still dared to spy on him and eavesdrop. It was about 3 p.m. on the clock, so there was not a decent amount of time before the meeting. And therefore, returning to the girl, Itachi reassured her and said that there was no one there, not even traces of chakra. "It must have seemed." The girl replied with a silly smile. "It happens to everyone." Itachi replied, patting her on the head. Naruto, who was standing on a branch of another tree, only smiled as he watched his friend, but then quickly disappeared into the shunshin. Still, he had another task from sensei. Naruto ended up at one of the abandoned training grounds. It seems it was the 75th training ground. There was supposed to be an entrance to Orochimaru's underground hideout somewhere around here, where Naruto was supposed to find a couple of scrolls and then send them back to his father via callback. Quickly finding a grass-covered metal door leading downstairs, Naruto struggled to lift it up. Looking around, Naruto went inside, closing the hatch behind him. Due to the fact that he was perfectly oriented in the dark, he did not even need a torch or any other lighting. The shelter smelled of dampness and mustiness. It was clear that no human foot had set foot here for a long time. Everything was covered with cobwebs, and here and there bugs and worms crawled. Orochimaru explained well how to get to the room where everything needed was, and because Naruto quickly found it. An hour and a half later, the scrolls were in one of Orochimaru's laboratories, and Naruto, with a calm soul, headed for the mountain with the faces of the Hokage, waiting for the moment when the Uchiha would come. Until Itachi came, Naruto, sitting on the head of the third, watched Konoha. Today was one of the holidays that is held every 6 months in Konoha, the end of the Chunin exam. Many parents with their children, whether shinobi or ordinary people, walked around Konoha having fun. From Hiruzen's head, Naruto was even able to see Minato and his family, who, along with Fugaku, Mikoto, and Sasuke, were walking through the evening streets of the Hidden Leaf, talking cheerfully about something. Today was one of the holidays that is held every 6 months in Konoha, the end of the Chunin exams. Many parents with their children, whether shinobi or ordinary people, walked around Konoha having fun. From Hiruzen's head, Naruto was even able to see Minato and his family, who, along with Fugaku, Mikoto, and Sasuke, were walking through the evening streets of the Hidden Leaf, talking cheerfully about something. Today was one of the holidays that is held every 6 months in Konoha, the end of the Chunin exams. Many parents with their children, whether shinobi or ordinary people, walked around Konoha having fun. From Hiruzen's head, Naruto was even able to see Minato and his family, who, along with Fugaku, Mikoto, and Sasuke, were walking through the evening streets of the Hidden Leaf, talking cheerfully about something. So Sasuke and Menma have become so close friends, Naruto thought as he looked at the families a little longer. The breezes of the wind were pleasantly blown cool and fresh. And the air smelled of freshness, and no matter how strange the leaves sounded. "I know you're here, you don't have to hide," Naruto said, smiling even though he couldn't see it because of his hood. "Well, who are you? Why were you following me?" Itachi asked, holding the kunai tightly in his hand. Looking around, Naruto looked at him as if studying. "Manjutsu Sharingan?" Naruto asked in surprise. "How do you know about my Dojutsu?" Itachi asked as he prepared to fight. "Oh, I know a lot about him, but only from stories. Alas, I don't know it myself, and I won't be able to," Naruto said with a smile, placing his right hand on the katana. "Who are you and why are you following me?" Itachi asked the same question again. "Who am I? Is there any point in knowing this? And if you find out, what will you do? Will you kill? Will you be glad? I imagine our meeting many times, but could not even imagine how it would go. So does it make sense to spoil all this? Can we just sit quietly and talk?" Naruto asked, getting up from the rather cold ground, even though it was the height of summer. "Either you stop joking or I will kill you." With a menacing look and no less menacing voice, Itachi said. "Your family is now walking around Ko." However, the brunette didn't have time to finish. The words about the family made Itachi rush into battle with cold fury. The kunai was blocked by a katana that had a snake engraved on it. Ninpo? Snake hands. A large number of snakes immediately crawled out of the brunette's sleeve, intending to grab and twist the attacker. However, instead of the Uchiha, the snakes tied the log. Substitution technique, interesting, Naruto said as he dodged the fireball that was heading towards Mikami at great speed. "You shouldn't be throwing away your techniques, otherwise you will attract a lot of people, and this is of no use to me," said the guy, looking at the village. "Don't worry, you'll be dead when they come," Itachi assured him. "Okay, if you want to fight, let's fight." The guy shrugged his shoulders and let the element of lightning pass through the katana. The weapon immediately lit up with a bright light, sparkled, and, as usual, lightning began to fly out from the blade, which randomly beat around the guy. Naruto quickly moved towards Itachi, swinging his katana to strike, but when he lowered it, the weapon was met by an obstacle in the form of red ribs of chakra. "Susanoo?" Naruto asked himself as he jumped back to a safe distance. "You know too much," Itachi said as he stacked the seals. Futon. Impulse. Kato. A large fireball. Two techniques flew towards Naruto, but he easily dodged. "That's just Naruto?" Itachi asked in shock when he saw who was standing in front of him. A gust of wind, the hood fell off the brunette. A tall youth appeared, with long, smooth black hair, bright rims around the eyes, with a snake pupil, pale skin. It was definitely Naruto. "Damn it," Naruto said with annoyance, stopping feeding chakra into the katana and then sheathing it altogether. "Yes, it's me. Returning to the head of the third," said Naruto. "But, don't worry, now I'll tell you everything about where I was, why I left, and for how long I returned." Turning his head back, Naruto said. Uchiha slowly, as if not even believing, approached the guy and sat down next to him, watching Konoha. "I think you're interested in knowing where I've been all this time." Seeing a weak nod from his friend, Naruto continued. "At first I went to Raichido to make a contract with snakes, but in addition to the contract, I was taught Senjutsu, due to which your friend could not detect my presence exactly until I myself made myself known. After Raichido, I went to my father to hone my skills in Tai, Nin, Ken, and who knows what jutsu. In the last year, I just gained experience fighting the renegades, completing missions and stuff like that," Naruto said as he watched Konoha sink into the twilight. "But why did you leave? Why didn't you say anything, didn't warn? Why?" Answer. "Why did I leave? I wanted to become stronger to protect you, Au, Hiruzen. The fight with Ray showed that I was still too weak and inexperienced. I simply did not have enough strength to protect you and myself, that's why I left. All these 4 years, I have been training hard to become stronger in order to protect you. Why didn't I tell you? Probably because it was a rather spontaneous decision, which I only told the old man about, and because he was at the right time in the right place." When finished, Naruto looked at his friend and smiled warmly. "I heard that you will soon become an Anbu captain, is that true?" Itachi just nodded as he digested the information. But since you're back, why? 5 minutes later, the Uchiha asked another interesting question. All because I achieved my original goal, for which I left. I have become stronger and now I can protect you. I will return to the village, if the Hokage of course allows. You are considered dead because they could not find traces of an escape, which means you were cleverly kidnapped. Itachi said and smiled. He was certainly glad that his friend had finally returned, and they could again, like in the good old days, walk in the evenings, talking on various topics, having fun. Now it's my turn to ask you questions. Naruto said as he sat up comfortably with a sly smirk on his face. Dare. Already anticipating what questions the brunette will ask, Itachi said. Who is this Izumi? Are you serious? Naruto asked mockingly. I think yes. She is from the same clan as me, an old childhood friend who has long been in love with me, just like me. Itachi admitted honestly. Okay, next question then. Naruto became serious. Where did you get your Manjikyu Sharingan? I read that you can only get it if you kill your best friend or see him die. And this, I myself found out about it only a year later, when he woke up. The moment Rei launched his technique at you, I already thought you were dead. Thanks to my 2-volume Sharingan at that time, I knew very well that his technique was much stronger than yours. I thought that you died and the strong emotions that I experienced became the impetus for awakening first the third Tomo and a second later the Manjikyu. That's it, it's nice to know that you like me. Naruto replied with a smile. Have you been to Oya yet? Itachi asked looking at his friend. Not yet, but to be honest, it's scary to go there. I left without even saying goodbye and without warning in any way. I think that at best, she will kill me. That's right, Tsunade-sama taught her a couple of her moves, and now she's become quite a formidable opponent. The guys run after her in a crowd. Still, she is the daughter of Tsunade Senju, one of the 3 Sannin, and even a beauty, but she is still waiting for you, believing that you are not dead and will return sooner or later. Itachi said, looking up at the sky, which was already dark and stars began to appear on it. Slowly joyful cries began to subside in the village, everyone began to disperse. The holiday was coming to an end. I think I'll go to her tomorrow, but I still need to go to the Hokage. Naruto said as he lay down on the ground to get a better view of the starry sky. We can visit the Hokage tomorrow. I think that when I become an Anbu captain, you will look good in my platoon. Itachi laughed and Naruto just nodded. Then I will go to Aya's house and call her outside, where you will meet. Well, I'll go about my business. How do you like this plan? Naruto thought for a while and agreed, rising from the ground. Today he still had one thing to do. Then tomorrow at 8 a.m. Itachi said as he walked away from the brunette. Good. Naruto went home to Hiruzen, whom he had not seen for a long time. Quickly running to his house, Naruto knocked on the door, after which he heard displeased muttering and quiet footsteps. Long time no see old man, Naruto said as Hiruzen opened the door. The third froze, not believing his eyes. Naruto? He is. Going inside, said the guy. Here's who, and I certainly didn't expect to see you. Said the old man with a good-natured smile. Sorry it's so late, there were other things to do. Mikami apologized as he walked into the kitchen. So tell me, how are you? Naruto returned home closer to 2 in the morning. Hiruzen's gatherings dragged on a little, and then when the alarm rang at 7 in the morning, the guy barely opened his eyes. After taking a shower in the morning to dispel a dream that did not want to leave, Naruto left his apartment, which was covered in dust and in places even cobwebs. It was clear that no one even came here. You are late. Itachi said, glancing at his friend. Sorry, I went to bed too late last night. Naruto replied with a yawn. Alright, let's go, the Hokage is already waiting, Uchiha said, heading towards the residence. The brunette silently trudged along behind him, falling asleep on the go. Knocking on the door, Naruto and Itachi walked inside to where Team 7 had just taken the Genin exam. Menma, Sasuke and Sakura, and their mentor was Kushina Uzumaki, who turned around at the incoming. Sorry I'm late, Hokage-sama. Itachi apologized, tilting his head slightly. Long time no see, number 4. Naruto replied with a wave of his hand. Mikami Naruto? Minato asked, blinking his eyes in surprise. Were you expecting someone else? Where were you? Namikaze asked. I'll tell you later, we'll wait for the Genin team to take on their task. Minato, I think they can be given a C-rank mission. I think they are ready. Kushina said to her husband. Okay, you will need to escort the bridge builder to the Wave Village, provide him with security until he completes the bridge, all the information is here. Minato said holding out a folder of papers. Shouting joyfully, Team 7 left the Hokage's office and residence to pack their belongings. So, now you. Where have you been? Minato asked, turning to Naruto. I got stronger in Raichido. Naruto replied defiantly. Studied Senjutsu and honed ninjutsu skills. In order to avoid further questions, the guy explained. I take it you want to return to being a Konoha shinobi? Asked the fourth, wearily rubbing his temples. The genin team got on his nerves pretty badly, begging for a higher rank task. Hokage-sama, I want Mikami Naruto to be enrolled in the Anbu, and specifically in my squad. I think his skills are quite enough to fight on equal terms with the strongest jonins of Konoha. Itachi answered for Naruto. I'll deal with this later, I need to think about it. I'll call you when I've made up my mind, but now I'd like to be alone. Naruto and Itachi silently nodded as they left the residence, heading towards the Senju quarter. Somehow he easily took in all the information. Naruto said to Itachi. Yeah, but I think everything will be fine. The Uchiha said as they approached Tsunade's house. Wait here, I'll call Aya for now. Naruto just nodded as he sat down under the tree. Hello Tsunade-sama, is Aya-chan home? Itachi knocked on the door. Hey Itachi, I'll call her now. After a couple of minutes, Aya stood in the doorway with a silent question. Come on, there's someone who wants to meet you. Itachi said with a soft smile. Who? The girl asked tiredly, who had changed a lot, and for the better. Breasts of the second size were clearly visible, a narrow waist, a beautiful face, long hair gathered back in a ponytail. The secret is waiting for you under that tree. Itachi said, pointing directions with his finger before disappearing into the shunshin. Damn Itachi. The girl thought, but nevertheless interest prevailed, after which she headed in the indicated direction. Already from a distance, she saw familiar shapes and could not believe her eyes. Is it really you? The girl changed her already familiar step to a quick run, getting closer and closer to the tree. Naruto? The girl shouted, addressing the guy sitting under the tree, who was peacefully dozing. Commentary on I Will Become Stronger Part 2. Jesus is for those who are already dead. Yo, here I am. The chapter turned out to be gorgeous, but probably the end was a little hasty, but I really wanted to sleep. I think you will forgive. All the same, reviews, as you head are welcome. Conflict in the land of waves ch1, is it really you? The girl changed her already familiar step to a quick run, getting closer and closer to the tree. Naruto? Aya called out to the guy sitting under the tree, who was sleeping peacefully. Where have you been? The girl asked, hugging Naruto, tears of happiness flowing from her eyes. She had been waiting for his return for so long, and now, when she was already desperate, he finally returned. Burrowing into the boy's chest, Aya tightly hugged Naruto, who only smiled as he gently stroked the girl's hair. Where you were all this time? Senju asked, her eyes swollen with tears. I got stronger to protect you, Itachi, the old man, everyone who is dear to me. Naruto said, hugging the girl as well. Then why didn't you tell me anything? Why didn't you warn me? You could have run to me, you know how worried I was. When once again I decided to visit you, and the ward is empty. When the Hokage said that you disappeared, tears poured out of her eyes again. Naruto silently hugged the girl and began to stroke her hair, whispering, I'm sorry in her ear. The day was already drawing to a close, and Naruto and Aya were still hugging under a perennial tree, the shade from which hid them from the heat. Naruto, there you are, you and me are called to the Hokage. This is urgent. Itachi appeared, breaking the already established idyll. Naruto sadly looked somewhere in the sky, and then, carefully standing up, went towards the residence. Sorry, Aya, let's go for a walk tomorrow? Turning around, Naruto asked. Of course, you'll come after me? Naruto just nodded and then disappeared into the shunshin, leaving Aya contented and happy, alone. Do you even know why we were called? Naruto asked as he ran towards Itachi. The Uchiha shook his head negatively before entering the residence. Sign in. Minato said in a stern voice. Did you call, Hokage-sama? Itachi asked, getting down on one knee. Yes. Naruto, I thought about enlisting you in the Anbu. If you complete the mission that I will give you now, then you will be enlisted in the Anbu units, without additional verification. Itachi will go with you. I agree, but what is the mission? Naruto asked with a serious look at the Hokage. Yesterday, I issued another mission of rank C, to be precise, it was team number 7. Except, the mission was not rank C, at least rank A. The customer deceived me, apparently he did not have money to pay for the mission rank higher. All details are in this folder. You should hurry up or the genin will be finished. Said Minato, who could easily tell that he was angry. But, Hokage-sama, why can't you yourself teleport to the Master Jonin? Moreover, as far as I remember, this is your wife, Uzumaki Kushina. I'm Hokage, which means I should always be in the village, especially since the mission needs to be completed, and only then to sort things out. I simply don't have time for this. Minato said as he handed over a folder detailing the mission and the current coordinates of Team 7. Are you on a mission? Yes. Naruto replied confidently before adding. 5 minutes later at the gates of Konoha. The brunette disappeared in Shunshin, appearing on one of the roofs. Quickly heading to his home, The brunette did not even think that he was very tired today, all because of the fact that he had not slept well for many nights in a row. 5 minutes later, Naruto was standing at the gates of Konoha, waiting for his friend and teammate, Itachi. The Uchiha didn't look his best when he heard that his little brother might be in serious danger and became very gloomy and more serious. "We will reach the country of waves in about 4 hours," Naruto said with a sly smile. "What? How will you get to such a distant country in just 4 hours?" Itachi asked, looking at his friend with a look that does not tolerate jokes and stupidity. "Don't worry, we'll get there," Naruto said, biting his finger, and then began to fold the seals. "Summoning technique," Naruto whispered as he hit the ground. From a huge cloud of smoke, a no less huge snake appeared, black in color, with 2 horns on its head. "Naruto-sama, what do you want?" the snake asked politely. Itachi's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. We need to get to the land of the waves in 4 hours." Looking at his call, Naruto said. "Okay, get in." Lowering her head to the ground, the snake simplified the task to climb on it. "Attach with chakra, otherwise you will fly off," Naruto advised before Taya began to move. "Good." Submitting chakra to his legs, thereby attaching himself to the snake, the Uchiha replied. "After 3.5 hours, thanks T," Naruto said as he bowed respectfully to the snake, which vanished in a puff of smoke a few seconds later. "Well, where should we look for them?" Itachi asked as he approached his friend. His hair stood on end and stuck out in different directions, making him quite funny. "I don't know, I was hoping you were a censor," Naruto answered honestly as he sat down on the sun-warmed ground. "Heck." Itachi cursed, then froze. "Do you hear it?" "What?" Naruto asked, also listening to the surrounding sounds. "Yes, for 8 hours," Naruto said as he jumped up and headed in the direction where the sounds like clanging metal were coming from. "I hope we can have some fun now," Naruto said, drawing his katana, licking his lips in a predatory manner. Itachi, activating the Manjikyu Sharingan, looked ahead of himself, trying to finally see who was leading the battle, if he was leading of course. After a couple of seconds, our heroes jumped out into the clearing, where they saw team number 7, in front of which, one of the 7 swordsmen of the fog, Zabuza Momochi, was standing, and next to him were several apostates of the rank of Chunin and Jonin. Quickly assessing the situation, Naruto took out a kunai from his sleeve and charged it with lightning chakra to such an extent that the metal could barely withstand it, and lightning flew in different directions. Quickly throwing it at one of the apostates, on whose head was the crossed-out protector of the village of mist, kunai. Accuracy took its toll. The kunai pierced the body of the enemy through and through, tearing the heart into several pieces. The shinobi dropped dead. "Kushina-san, stay behind us and protect the genin and the customer," Itachi said, stepping between the Konoha team and the renegades just like Naruto did. Seeing the death of a person, Sakura vomited. "This is quite normal and natural." Sasuke and Menma held on better than their girlfriend, barely holding back the urge to vomit. The guys continued to watch the rapidly developing events spellbound. "Itachi, I'll take on Momochi while you deal with the others," Naruto said as he ran wind chakra through the katana. "This will be better," Mikami thought as he glanced down at his weapon. "Mom, can they do it?" Menma looked flustered. If Itachi and Naruto lost, then they would probably be finished as well. The guys understood this very well, and from the realization of this, their knees themselves began to tremble. "Don't worry if the Hokage comes to save us," the red-haired woman reassured the genin, not looking away. Kushina carefully watched every action of opponents and allies. Momochi Zabuza, an apostate from the village of the mist, one of the 7 once legendary swordsmen of the mist. Turning to a guy with a bandaged mouth and a huge sword in his hands, Naruto said, moving his hand with the katana down. "I'm flattered that some kid who thought he could at least detain me knows about me. Better get out of the way, there's no point in taking your life," said the apostate, giving the guy the last chance to drop everything and run away, but alive. "Well, attack, let's check which of us is stronger." "Prepared for battle," said the brunette. "But I gave you a chance to just leave, but you didn't take it." Zabuza ran straight at Naruto, raising his huge sword. Commentary on conflict in the land of waves P1. Yoyoyo, in the morning I passed Vlek for admission, but failed. Now you need to think about where to go. Because of this, he tilted a lot, the head may not be very good. I will not hide, it will not be easy to defeat Zabuza, yet Naruto is only 12 to 13 years old. Now I'll sit down to write a new chapter, maybe even release it in the morning. How do you like this one? Honestly, I'm not very good at it. Do not die. So few reasons, no more incentive, so little room to grow. I've been wrong so many times. And again, it's not enough for me, Mom, forgive me. And not enough phrases, and so lacking you. But there are so few reasons to write and to start everything for some reason from scratch and so little for us. There were minutes to recreate this world. But there is no strength and desire to destroy it from the inside. So few answers, how many did not ask for? So little money, so little time for everything. I'm not getting younger, there's nothing to believe in and nothing will save. Zabuza ran straight at Naruto with his huge sword raised. The guy blocked the slash from above with his katana. This is power dispersing the chakra through his body faster, thereby strengthening his physical parameters, Naruto thought. With more effort, the brunette threw back Zabuza's sword and went on the attack himself. The swordsman did not expect such agility from the boy, and therefore he almost missed a blow, but when he came to his senses, he jumped back, breaking the distance. Maybe it will be fun, Zabuza said under his breath, involuntarily remembering the last time he could be taken by surprise. You shouldn't get distracted or you'll lose to some kid. Already running up to the enemy, taking the katana aside for a strike, Naruto said. Don't you dare underestimate me, pup. Mamachi easily blocked the brunette's impudent attack, and then with a kick from the leg, sent him flying. After flying several meters, Naruto finally crashed into a tree, stopping his flight. Zo, that was painful. Rising to his feet, Naruto said, but in the same second he was forced to use a replacement in order not to die. Mamachi's heavy weapon slashed and shattered a piece of log. Zo, I did it, said the shinobi of the mist in annoyance, looking around in search of an enemy. Fingers folded into a seal, a thick and dense fog descended on the battlefield, visibility became zero. Mikami's heart was beating wildly, death was too close. With such an opponent, you should not relax even for a second, otherwise I will die. Also this fog, most likely this is his technique, the brunette flashed through his thoughts, who sheathed the katana and sat in the lotus position. Meanwhile, Itachi, using his Sharingan, easily fought off 3 Nukenin of different ranks. Taking out a kunai from his pouch, the Uchiha quickly threw them towards one of the apostates. 2 kunai went straight into the neck, and the remaining 3 hilt deep stuck in the apostate's stomach, killing him on the spot. Damn, he killed Ruga, you're done for, said the shinobi with the crossed-out protector of the Cloud Village. The Kumo Nukenin ran straight at Itachi, who was standing still with his eyes closed. Opening them, the pattern of his Sharingan began to change, the Tamo began to spin, merging into one point, from which a kind of 3 petals began to diverge. Amaterasu. Black fire in a second embraced the 2 remaining Nukenins, thus bringing a terrible and painful death. Shouts of pain quickly spread across the clearing where they fought. Don't underestimate me, I already told you, Mamachi said, appearing behind the brunette and raising his sword. Damn, still hurt. Jumping back, Naruto felt blood dripping from his right arm. Now you're definitely going to die, Naruto said standing with his eyes closed. Don't be arrogant, boy. Zabuza headed straight for Mikami again, intending to end his life. The brunette opened his eyes and with unprecedented agility and speed dodged the attack, being under the weapon of a renegade, sticking his katana into Mamachi's stomach. Throwing blood, Mamachi looked down, meeting Naruto's gaze. Cold amber eyes, with a snake pupil, looked as if through Zabuza, because of which the latter had goosebumps all over his body. Naruto quickly pulled out his katana and started attacking again. A horizontal slash was blocked by a huge sword, after which, Mamachi jumped away from a tree branch, intending to break the distance and disappear into the fog again. Ninpo? Snake hands. Snakes quickly crawled out of Mikami's sleeve, intent on binding the apostate out of the mist. But one of the 7 legendary Kiri swordsmen, with just one swing of his sword, killed almost all the snakes. Naruto's attack bogged down at the beginning. Zabuza disappeared into the fog again. Do you think you can get away from me? Naruto asked, looking exactly where Mamachi was now. Naruto, having impregnated the katana with lightning chakra, ran straight at Zabuza, intending to finally finish this fight, yet the full hermit mode was not eternal, especially since the brunette did not train him so often and studied all his subtleties. Die. The katana clearly entered Mamachi's throat, who couldn't possibly expect to be seen. This concealment technique was perfect, no one could see through the fog, even the best sensors could not always detect it, and then some kid could, it's impossible. Naruto was already starting to rejoice at the victory, as Mamachi splashed on the grass, it was a water clone. Suiton? Water dragon. The original Zabuza stood to the right of the brunette, preparing his most powerful technique. A large dragon made entirely of water headed straight for the brunette. Futon? Impulse? Naruto said, folding his fingers into a seal, hoping that his technique would somehow weaken the water dragon, but it was all to no avail. Mamachi's technique knocked Mikami off his feet and hit a nearby tree with all his might. The brunette was on the verge of losing consciousness. He had already begun to realize that he had lost, all because he believed in himself too much, played too much. It was a good fight, I haven't fought so well in a long time. You will die like a worthy shinobi in battle, said a suitable Zabuza, who looked rather shabby. Naruto was already fully prepared for death, not even regretting his actions. I think that Itachi, the old man and father will be very upset, but they are strong, they will be able to survive, Naruto thought with a smile on his face, closing his eyes. Meanwhile in Konoha, Minato was restless, he was constantly thinking about what was happening there now. Did Naruto and Itachi make it to Kushina and Team 7? He was all on pins and needles. Dad, don't worry, everything will be fine. Haru said as she ran into the office and hugged her father. Of course, daughter. Smiling as much as possible, Minato said with an exhausted look. Itachi, sensing something was wrong, ran in the direction where the sounds of battle had come from before, the clang of metal. We need to help Naruto, after all, Momochi is one of the strongest swordsmen, Itachi thought, accelerating his pace. Don't lose, Naruto. Orochimaru, as usual, was in one of his many shelters, which are scattered around the world, a huge number. Looking through the documents and scrolls that Naruto sent him from Konoha, he found some pretty interesting information. I think he will definitely be interested in this, considering that his mother is from this clan. Orochimaru thought as he handed the scroll to one of the snakes. I think we'll see each other soon, Naruto. Thought the Sannin, unrolling another scroll. Commentary on Don't Die. Pyrokinesis never to anyone. Do not decide that again on the most interesting, it's also better. I like the chapter, though maybe the fights are a little poorly described. I think that I didn't make Naruto over the imba, and therefore you can read, Zabuza won purely by experience, well, if anything, new Jonin mentor? Will I become Anbu? The cards are revealed, I saw everything in advance in my eyes, you know, each of the 1,000 roads without end. I feed my hopes, understanding with my head, that we won't see you again. I think that Itachi, the old man and father will be very upset, but they are strong. They will be able to survive it, Naruto thought with a smile on his face, closing his eyes. The guy had already said goodbye to his life, because it's not surprising, the sword fell all below, the smell and presence of death was already in the air. It seemed that you could feel it in every cell of your body. Die. Momochi's last words echoed in the brunette's ears. I don't want to die only in the last seconds of his life. Did he understand this? He is afraid. But he is not afraid of death itself, he is afraid of oblivion, that all the joyful and not very moments, all the people who surrounded him before, with whom he talked, laughed, just was there, they will take and sink into obscurity, he will forget that so vehemently wanted to remember and protect. Not now. The cry of the red-haired girl seemed to resound throughout the forest, followed by a thud. Opening his eyes, Naruto saw a sword lying next to him and a woman standing next to him, her hair blowing in the wind. Hardly realizing that his life was no longer in danger, the guy began to breathe deeper, his heart began to beat furiously, trying to jump out of his chest. He realized that he was alive again. He will again be able to enjoy the smiles of his friends, he will be able to talk with them about something again. The realization of this warmed his heart and soul. Thank you. In this word he put all his gratitude, he was truly happy that he could see the light of this world again. How are you? The woman asked affectionately, shifting her gaze to the heavily breathing brunette. I'm fine. Naruto exhaled loudly and got to his feet. Where's Zabuza? Killed. Itachi said as he appeared next to Kushina. He, taking advantage of the moment while Zabuza recovered from the strongest blow of the bloody habanero, cut his throat. But I finished him off, everything is fine, now it remains only to send a letter to the Hokage that everything is fine with Kushina-san. Itachi comforted his friend. Oh, I almost forgot, the Jonin said, rubbing the back of her head. Thank you for coming to the rescue, we couldn't have done it without you, and most likely we would already be dead. What about Genin? Naruto asked. Everything is fine with them, they are sitting under that tree, together with the customer, Itachi said, pointing with his hand in the direction of the old and mighty tree. Come to their senses after what they saw. Then, as soon as they come to their senses, we need to move on. And then, something I'm already tired of this mission. The brunette said with a silly smile. Itachi and Kushina just nodded silently in agreement. Meanwhile, Zabuza's corpse was slowly cooling down, but the swordsman was not at all upset by his death, on the contrary, he was even glad that he died in such an interesting and difficult battle for him. The last thing the apostate thought about was the girl whose image popped into his head on its own. Short, with long black hair, cute features. Once, a very long time ago, Zabuza was passing through a village where he found a homeless girl who was barely alive. It was freezing cold outside, so Momochi took pity on her and took her with him. All subsequent years, he trained her, made her stronger so that she could stand up for herself. Year after year, he gradually fell in love with her, but he never showed it, kept it to himself, and simply enjoyed the company with her. The girl was also not indifferent to the apostate, but she was in no hurry to reveal her thoughts to him. Go hawk au. The last words, along with the breath, were picked up by the wind and carried away. Words that meant more to an apostate than you can imagine. He will finally meet the one he loved with all his heart. With the one who left him so early.